Testing. Soros, are we in? We're in.
You were abducted by aliens.
It's true. And they had to give us heavy probing. But we are back! Welcome, misfits!
They couldn't find one big enough for Amy.
Oh my. Well, and once again, anything's a dildo if you're brave enough.
Yeah.
But welcome to this episode of Midnight Ranting. The Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark.
Snark.
Yes. It's like the peanut butter and chocolate of creationism. Where tonight we are throwing an after party, waheo, on the
late
debate.
After party, but still.
That's right. Very much on Amy time. Where we are throwing the after party of the debate of TRock versus James W., our own, on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. Fact or fiction? I think you know which direction this channel leans. But we're sending love to standing for truth. And won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for a good time worth drowning over? Woohoo! That is right. I want to thank everyone out there for joining us on the intertubes. Wow. I don't know how I'm going to get my fist through there. If you enjoy the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe because, hey, then you gain access to that bell icon, which when set to all will send you reminders to see our premieres, like our latest Ask Me Anything or Say Something Funny, or our live streams. What is up, interwebs? In fact, I saw XI Music, Beamsy, a Doubting Thomas. Oh, you. Everybody sending love, and there was so Beamsy says there's so many comments you made that just upset the geologist in me.
Now, for some reason, I think I didn't see those because I'm guessing Beamsy's not permitted in SFP chat with his name.
They don't love Untmoven?
I'm guessing not. Yeah.
Well, we can't help but send love out there to Beamsy. And yes, this is going to be a little bit of a ranting, though we wish all of the opposing views to come all. But my lordy, did he say some very silly things, but confidently. That is the amazing thing about young Earth creationists. And yes, that is the exact vibe I got.
Trying to project that, yeah.
And so it was interesting.
That mix of self-assuredness, smugness, condescension. And, that's. I think that's what he was trying to emulate.
This a way of just propping up about to say something really unscientific and then basically saying, but my host here doesn't want to talk about science. And you're like, but you're talking about the two lions and the two zebras and they go on the boat and it rained a long time, right? Like that's what
and then they get off the boat and then 20 years later, you've got tigers, lions, jaguars, cougars, leopards, cheetahs, all that in one generation. And that's a reasonable, that's reasonable.
And he does make certain lines that I don't feel that he could backup on any, I don't know, Arctic science. I don't know, because he tried to make cat kinds, and a cat kind was just like, basically, I don't know, if it looks like a cat, it's probably the cat kind.
We saw that from Atheist Junior's debate with Ken Hovind, which was a very good debate. I think he made a lot of good points in that debate. But
sending so much love to Atheist. I just like something on his Twitter feed. Sending love to AJ out there. He also had a fantastic debate. We should probably cover
we should
that
cover
as
that
well.
one. Yeah, I thought we should have.
But we will say, before we get too much into the weeds, we will say this is a skeptic channel, including the two schmucks that you see before you. It is true. And we will give anyone the chance to have their own open closing statements, atheist or theist, liberal or conservative. You may come as you are. Just, I usually say not on my sheets. Okay, come on the sheets. Just come all. And tell us not just what you believe, but why. Why is the more important question.
Why
is but yes, this housekeeping, including everything that we're going to be ranting on this subject, is sponsored by our channel members, who you can see in the description below, and our Patreons over at patreon.com/Amy Newman, which helps us make even more fun content, including Gizmo. I don't know how you could say something so daring and yet so true.
Some people talk a lot, but they say so little. But Gizmo, he really makes his words count.
Exactly. And isn't that the name of the game of Creationists? Just saying a lot, but not really saying, having a point. But sending so much love to our brothers, our sisters. Trying to think of the expression I saw today that I want to start using. Sister from another father. It'll come to me in a little bit. Sending so much love to Oz, Jenna, all of the people at the Tang Gang and at the hashtag Better event.
Yeah, they had better. It sounds like they had a blast. Everything I saw.
I saw a lot of the content. It was fantastic. Yep. It seems like they were having, like James says, they're having a blast. Whether it is the debate community in general, or even, to be more specific, I'm a little bit biased, the atheist non-believer community, we hashtag do it better. Woo! Send in love, Oz.
Thanks, Oz.
And I will put a preview, because it's going to be a climbing up that hill. But I would say as we reach 3 to 5K subs, that will be the eventual goal to do an event like that. Because I think that... And you know what I think it'll be? We will start to do skeptic and ranting cons. And because it's bigger than just me. It is... the non-believer community, the skeptic community, and we want to replace what gets lost when you leave a religion. We don't want to replace dogma, because we could get rid of all the baggage. We can get rid of that shit.
Telling people what to think based on faith. Yeah.
But having a place to talk with each other and talk philosophy, science, and eat nachos. That actually sounds pretty good.
Nachos, that sounds like, reminds me of...
Sister from another mister, thank you.
Nachos reminds me of the latest Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
Yo, and the reviews coming out for that have been good. Both from the audience and critics.
Well, you get to the one part where they figure out because they come to our time that you can buy stuff with your phone now. So of course they go berserk and order as much nachos as you can imagine.
And also, spoiler warning, I have to put that on there. Though I haven't seen.
Yeah, spoiler warning.
Woo,
I only watched it once. No.
Hey, I love. I'm gonna forget his. It's the same guy who does Idiocracy. Mike Judge. I think he is a genius. Office Space was also basically legendary at this point.
Cult status, yeah.
And also Oz, legendary status. And Ian.
Oz, definitely.
Davenport sending so much love. I see a love out there on the Facebookosphere, which means he has to be out there.
He's got to be out there. I should
load up Facebook and just hang out there too, because we need to cross-pollinate out there. Sending love to the Twitch universe. That's right. Oh my God, I don't want to complain.
You need to marry one of these tech barons, Amy. That would be the answer. That would be.
Look, need to become one of these tech barons.
There you
go.
She wears
I need to finish portfolio. Well, no, I just need to finish Portfolio Quest whenever I hear stuff, because we all have our app. But that was my graduate research project. I just need to finish it. Boo-doo-doo. Sending love, Ian Davenport. And I'm gonna have time now, baby. Time to work. As much as I love the Borg, it was great. I do want to send my love to it. The parts that I was able to assemble. But sending love, Ian. And also sending love as we. Oh, he's sending love to Moonlight. He wants to get let out and roam. Hello, baby. Okay, one cat in, but we do have a Penelope over here. She's
guarding the window.
She's guarding the window. She had good nom-noms.
They're saying, Amy, your flag is backwards. You've got it. You reversed your popcorn flag.
My flag is backwards. Oh, it is.
Like corn.
And it should have been. Spoiler alert! This is the neutral flag that should have been up for the MDD. I was supposed to mod last night, and I had the joke that I gave to James was basically, for a long time I had technological issues, and last night was a physiological issue. I was just exhausted, and I basically fell asleep in preparation.
Dinosaur flag. Yeah.
That is.
Not your corn pop flag, which is, I guess, a warning flag they have to fly in the Delaware area.
Oh, yes.
In honor of corn pop.
Hey, let me tell you, it's also weird coming from a state of a guy who's now president. It's such a small state.
It was.
And yet,
that's true. Is that the same, like, driving by here in Florida and you would see Air Force One on the side of the road every other week? Because I live like 20 minutes, 30 minutes from Mar-a-Lago.
This is like that scene from American History X that used to be one of my favorite movies.
It's a classic. I guess it's a good movie.
I used to also hang out too much on pole combating. My joke used to be the actual Godwin's
was
Law.
Bad dude, yeah.
Though he was also good in, what the hell is that movie? Fight Club.
I didn't like that movie, but that's just me being.
Didn't like Fight Club. Is it because you are literally being one of the people that's like, I like the book better? You're allowed to be that person.
No.
Oh, okay, you just didn't like it.
I didn't like the whole premise of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I liked Fight Club.
I can be a bit of a contrarianist when it comes to things like that everybody just loves. I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay. He's a bit of an out there guy anyway. He's
Edward
basically
Norton
an
is a good actor.
anarchist. Can I have American Fiction?
Is that
Yes.
a Slim Jim? Can I have that?
Stamp it to Slim Jim. Also, sending love to a grumpy old cuss, because when we hear these arguments that, basically are, I mean, normally I'd argue about the 6,000-year-old Earth, but I mean, the fact that, there was no massive boat with animals on it that, like, it either goes one of two ways. Like, normally it's shitting on our ancestors, other times it's ancestor worship. Like, and I'm very, very egalitarian in this way, and that I know that our ancestors were basically just like us, and just with different technology and stuff. And so but they had less access to information, so they got a lot of things wrong. And this dude was all about how much technology we have lost, which is just a weird phrase to me.
Well, if you follow like the YEC crowd a lot, that's one of the angles they take, is that the people back then, they were so much smarter than we are. And look at this, like the Baghdad battery. Ooh, they had a battery back then. Ooh, look at this machine that they made that we don't.
And I don't like it when we go like I said, I don't like it when we go the exact opposite direction, and we're like, oh my God, our ancestors were such idiots. Clearly, our ancestors for thousands of years, knew how to do some shit. Like I said, and you've said often, we knew the world was round for thousands of years. Right. We've known all sorts of things. We marvel all the time at how hard it was. This was one of his points about the pyramids. Oh my God, it was so hard to build the pyramids, and that we can't even figure that out today. Well, first of all, that statement right there is actually going too far. We could build buildings as accurate as the pyramids were. That's weird. That's a weird ballsy claim, because we definitely have the technology now to do so.
He just said, "Oh, nobody will."
But the point is that it was impressive that they could do it that accurately back then. That is why it is impressive. So yes, our ancestors, some of them, not everybody, some people were just picking their nose their whole lives. But some of our ancestors knew how to get shit done, and oftentimes for royalty, which is generally the case with the pyramids.
None of the people, by the way, in the Abrahamic faith fit that tradition, because they were all the people promoting ignorance and dogmatic belief systems, as opposed to scientific inquiry. Something that's going to build humanity up.
And this was created at a time when there really was no such thing as natural philosophy. This was, okay, hold on. That's a little bit too far. There was versions of it, but they weren't really searching for...
They weren't as advanced.
These were the Desert Trilogy. As much as we love them, but also
we do. We love.
We do. Listen,
we do.
I love all of our theist brothers and sisters. It's just that they cause a lot of mischief, especially
mischief. You're talking about them like you're talking about a misbehaving puppy who chewed your slipper. Mischievous.
Indeed. Unfortunately, they cause a lot of destruction. But hey. That is the war. The funny thing is, I look at, whenever I pass a nun, whenever I pass a woman wearing a hijab, whenever I pass a man wearing a kippah, in a subtle way, Exactly. In a subtle way, I go, it's like that's the opposition. I don't
Yeah.
view them as like my enemy,
Right.
but I view it like there's multiple people at the food court and we just know who our rivals are. Our ideas are science, as much as they like to give lip service. You like to give lip service to that
Some
word.
of them do.
Science. But what does that really just mean? That means experimentation, the peer review process, and other people being able to verify those methods. Can't do that with a massive boat of two people getting on and somehow that spreading out to, and then they have the audacity to not like evolution. So, somehow time is our god and goddesses. Yet
They hate the idea of it. They hate the idea of slow change happening over time, but they're totally fine with rapid change happening very quickly. Rapid fire.
Rapid fire, baby. Also sending love to Diana Smith, reminding us
Thank you, Diana.
that the Abrahamic faiths really, really do not like egalitarianism. They need to make sure that you understand that the male goats go before the female goats, or God will be really angry. Really sad face. Even in your slaves.
H comes before S, so they just did it alphabetically. He goat comes before she goat.
Exactly.
It's not really,
you better sacrifice a goat. That's how you do science.
A male goat, because I think they'll be sacrificed.
Without a blemish.
To double check.
Sending love, Diana Smith. Sending love, Pat. Woo-hoo! We need to get on here again. We are starting more pre-production, as well as everyone out there. If you are an academic or someone with expertise in a field, please come talk to us about Talk Skeptic to Me, where we're looking to make channel members and Patreons. We will do the pre-production, the production, and the post. Between Gizmo and I, we got this all covered.
They'll get it done.
Exactly. So all we need is your tuchus and the subject that you have expertise and knowledge in. Speaking of which, Pat has done many fantastic episodes of Talk Skeptic to Me, where we have talked about an archaeological look at sacredness. We've done an archaeological look at Halloween. We have...
Where Amy did dress up.
Listen, I'm good at cleaning and being on my knees. What am I talking about? Saying hi to
Tighten your
Pat. There are two people that I like to give a shout out on any podcast, on any stream that I am on, and that is Stupid Horror Energy and Titan Your Anus. I just feel like they're just wonderful human beings that you should say out loud.
They are. I think it was funny in the debate that Stupid Horror Energy called him fibbing about Rotocetus, saying it was fully aquatic. Fully aquatic.
No, she took him to... She takes him to task. She takes many creationists to task. Exactly. Yeah. And there's nothing I like hearing better than question from Stupid Horror Energy in the Jurassic period. Would you understand? It's just like...
Thanks, Dale.
Whew. Sending love, Dale. What is up?
Speaking of Dale, I think it's time for his icon.
Well, I was about to... Funny, my head was going. I was like, is someone about to get a spanking? Oh, my. No.
No.
But sending love to Dale Pastel, reminding us we're just looking for a little bit of empirical evidence, and that is really the hallmark of what we're looking for when it comes
Yeah.
to, I don't know, a massive amount of water. Can I also
Massive
ask
boat.
something? And I say this in my opening statement, but so spoiler alert, but did they like forget how to make boats? Like, was it just Noah? Like, it started raining, and then everyone else was like, oh man, I guess we should just
Well,
abandon all of our boat technology.
yeah, but it's not just that though. It's that they abandoned this whole Yahweh thing. They because Noah's sons they migrated to other places, and what's the first thing they did when they got there? Set up new
Oh,
religious
God.
systems that have nothing to do with Yahweh. Like in the Far East, they went there and made up their religious systems. They went down to Egypt and made up a religious system. They migrated to Europe and made a
A
religious
lot of
system.
territory.
These people who knew for a doubt, 100% fact that this God existed, and he would be really, really pissed if you did things he doesn't like. And what's the one thing he doesn't like the most, Amy? And that's worshiping other gods. That makes him hot under the collar, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
So, of course, naturally, that's the first thing they do. Well, he just killed everybody else who didn't worship him. So, of course, the
and I
first thing
do
they
have
want
to
to do
say,
start worshiping other
if
gods.
you don't have a PlayStation, an Xbox, or a Nintendo, I feel like the next best thing is to make an image of a golden calf. I feel like there's a natural progression.
Because, yeah, when Moses goes up to the mount, he's been up there a little long, and I mean, I know
That's what
Yahweh
she said.
got us out of Egypt and everything and all that, but hey, let's make a golden calf and worship that for now.
Yes, it's the hottest new technology out there. I can't help it. Beamsy says before that, you have to take into account the Ark of Noah is the same ark they refer to in the Ark of the Covenant. Yes, I believe this is the same story where like he puts on a hat and he has a whip and he tries to like trade out a skull. I remember this. He
With a
fights
bag of
Nazis.
sand.
Yeah, bag of sand. I remember.
Dale, I didn't see that. I heard about it. I will definitely have to watch that because I would love to see T-Jump taking Bubbles to task. That would be amazing.
Really? Did anyone
Yeah.
watch Bubbles debate T-Jump?
T-Jump's very methodical approach to picking apart stupidity like that would be good.
I've always thought about see the problem because with and I like T-Jump gaming. I think he does well at it because it's
That's where
hard
he
to
plays
do a
games
gaming
while
stream
he is debating
while
people.
he debates. Now I feel like I could do that on Civ, and so I'm almost tempted to do that one time. James is like, we're almost rolling his eye, but there's times in Civ where you're just sitting there and you're just like, do.
That's why I could never get into.
But it's a lot of fun at the same time. I can't help it. What is up, friends of Richardson? And I would say to everyone, if you want to gaming stream, because everyone wants to gaming, you want to get paid and be a content streamer. I'll tell you what the secret is, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta have a shtick. You gotta have a shtick. It's the same with having any community. It's the same with whatever. The fact that T-Jump debates while he games puts him in a shtick. If you want to watch someone gaming, but you also want to hear debate, you now can listen to T-Jump. Yeah, that's an entire category. So the thing you just need to ask yourself is, what do I want to do while I play video games? Because that's your actual category. So sending love out there. If you want to find your thing, everyone can.
Smoke pot.
Woo! Hey, I will say, and you can do that, but that better just be the lubricant. Your ass with grass then better have something else to offer people.
So you need another shtick other than
you
gaming.
Do. Well, you do. Now, if you then want to, I mean, this is extremely abstract. But if you
Of
want to
course.
make it weed culture, you want to just make your subject talking everything about weed, which I think may get a little bit boring, but that is a shtick. So you then
Depends on your audience.
depends on your audience, and so, but yes, there is no just whatever. Even if that, you would have to still have some sort of production, blah
Oh,
blah.
happy
blah,
Canada Day, Randolph. Happy Randolph Day.
Woohoo! Sending love, Randolph. Happy Canada Day. This, for whatever reason, because of my American brain, that just makes me think of South Park.
Oh, because we got the 4th of July coming up next
Yeah.
on Monday.
Listen, if you have a holiday and a
I was going to
country,
say, I bet you don't
we
celebrate it.
we'll give it out there. We love you.
There you go.
I have like a weird sort of like, I'm patriotic. I just don't go overboard. Like, I have everything. I like to think I have a balance. I think our country did both bad and good things. Good and bad things.
Like any country.
Whatever order you want to take that in. Exactly. And so you have to celebrate the good, you have to remember the bad so you don't make more. That's life, though, isn't it?
Sort of,
I hosted a Canada Day live stream. I'm getting better at running OBS. I am so happy. Okay, I don't know if you guys know. Well, you trust. I guess if you know this, if from this stream, it is so nice to have a computer that does not crash. Because OBS, I would just run OBS on MDD and I just sweat. All I would do is sweat,
waiting for it to crash.
that it would not crash, because then it would crash and people would blame me, and it would be technically my fault, but there would be nothing I could do because I had spent so much money and so much time trying to fix it. People would be like, why not take it to a shop? Oh, I took it to a shop, and the shop sent it back and was like, it's perfect. And I plugged it in and it crashed. And you've
had your system working for a few weeks now.
Yes. No, it is great. The only thing that could take me down is the internet going down, but that is the same for any high-end computer.
Over a blue screen.
Even if you have a backup, you can't cover the internet. Maybe you have a 5G backup or something. But send in love. Okay, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I agree. I also think I like the phrase that history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes. And so, you have to pay attention to at least what has occurred. And so you don't repeat the bad mistakes. Though I'm also a big fan that I swear that in 1,000, because people often talk about end times, and it just goes with the same, like how I think that our ancestors were almost not that different. I think our forerunners are going to be not that different. Even if we're augmented to crap, even if there's another sentient synthetic species that has assimilated into our culture, all this shit, there's going to be some dude at the end clocking out, eating something, scratching his belly, and life will not change that much in 10,000 years. I'm willing to make that claim because I've seen it happen. There will be differences. The technology will be different, but we'll still be doing the same shit. But yes, Sunday, this so much of our housekeeping. It's a big one tonight, but that'll be great. We'll do our big housekeeping. We'll opening statements a little bit, and then we'll open mic, and we'll let everyone on who wants to say something, or we'll keep on ranting because James and I could. If this was an Avengers movie, that's right. We do this all night. Need to get me a Captain America shield.
Hi, Nick.
Woo! Send in love. unfortunately, Nick has been doing some great content. I'm going to leave it at that so I don't cry myself to sleep.
There you go. Don't do that.
But I'm sending love to Nick. Go check him out. In time, on time.
Your time.
Your time. Sensing love to Dale and Pat and Dave Carr. Dave Carr reminding that even the round earthers, what am I trying to say? Where your Wurfs, even the 6,000, the young earthers don't want to. I'm looking for it. They're right up there next to my new moon. Oh, I love that they go together now.
If they tried to make like a flurf, but they call it rurf.
A flurf.
They
I need a flurf and a turf to mate.
Oh,
they create a turfed. Nailed it.
You.
I agree. I thought you're always a mensch when you're on there, and you still take your digs at religion as you should, because it's their job as a religious person to try to attack science, and it's your job to, I guess, as nicely as possible, bring them back to reality. Send in love, Randolph.
Right.
And what is up, Titan?
They try to make it seem logical, plausible, and dare I say probable. Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Nick is now out of time. Sorry, Nick.
But there was time now. Also sending love to the remake of that, which just reminds me of Jordan Peele, which reminds me of Nope. I just want to see Nope. Just waiting, because that looks good. It is a good movie. I say good. It is a new movie by Jordan Peele, who is one of our own, a comedian, and yet he is able to breaks rare ground where he is able to also pull off a drama. And you could see it even if you watch Kay and Peele skits. Like, looking back, there are certain ones that just have hard edges to, like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's Jordan. But I'm waiting for it. And also, keep waiting. Sending love to Dave Carr and saving
Dave
love to Scott Duke. The lead hyena of the pack, sending so much love. And also because they look down on other animals. We're talking about shoving all of these animals on a boat. They do. Honestly. And
shoving.
Oh my. Shove as much as you can. And, once again, I'm not trying to go full PETA on nobody. You could keep on eating your ham sandwich. No, it's just that animals were not poofed. Not only were they not poofed into existence for us, but they oftentimes have the audacity to say that other animals are not conscious, are basically share nothing in common with us. And once again, look at these fur babies. It depends on the creationist how much they want to insult. And I just imagine they are not cat or dog owners. But sending love to Scott Duke, the head hyena, and sending love to Regos, reminding us that, we have a skeptic Bible study on here where we do what the literalists don't want you to do, and that is read the Bible. For whatever reason, we're cheating when you go through it word through word. And so, So Regis is just reminding to join us as we dude erotomy it up.
Sure he
And
is. Thank you, Regis.
yeah. Sending love. And as he, stabs an interfaith, Yahweh has a stab interfaith couple.
Shish kebab.
Not believing in the same religion. She's your sweetheart. He's your hubby now, but different religion. So, gotta kill him.
But Amy, I mean, if she worships Yahweh, but he doesn't, well, I mean, he might try to get her to worship his God, or if he worships Yahweh, but she doesn't, well, then she might try to get him to worship her gods. And that would be bad because they would be worshiping a God that's not Yahweh. And that would just be terrible.
No, we can't have that.
No. That would be terrible. I mean, he did flood an entire planet because of it. So.
Oh, but remember, James, he's the most moral. He's not
the good guy.
He's just moral. He's not like really moral. He is the most super duper moral.
Maximally moral.
Maximally moral. Also, he drowned a bunch of infants, but that's
they had it coming. They were evil.
They had it coming. They had it coming. They only had Yahweh to blame, really. If I think about it,
they should have been so evil, being babies and crying and suckling on their mothers and cooing. No, they didn't worship Yahweh the right way.
And they were going to grow up to be evil. So,
of course,
got to drown them preemptively.
Yes.
But yes, sending love and sending love to Rachel Holland, the lovely, the fantastic, the fabulous Rachel, reminding you that, well, since it is the good book, I mean, it's in the title, then they're not going to go around and just, I don't know, take slaves from the nations around you. James, that would be immoral.
Except under a couple circumstances, and then it's okay.
Exactly. Well, you didn't read the fine print, did you? Gotta read those asterisks.
Yeah, I mean, people get caught up in these moral absolutes. Something's always wrong. There's nuance.
Just listen in the other. How do you even? It's just a figment of your imagination. Excuse me. You only have things that are a figment of your imagination. Unlike Christianity, which is apparently reality or some shit. The precepts can never. Exactly. The precepts can never walk me through how logic comes from their worldview. They just assert it. But yes, thank you. And sending love, Rachel Holland, and also Senator Cato. Boom, 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 boom.
Around here, we like to call that a baseless assertion.
What's up, Ethan?
Yes, Rachel and Senator Cato.
But sending love, Senator Cato, who reminds us that we kind of appreciate the separation of church and state, because without it, well, it's just your theocracy versus someone else's. And so you probably just want some secular government.
I mean, maybe we could just have a war about that, and you can have one theocracy, and then they can fight it out, and whoever wins, they can impose their theocracy on the other theocracy. What do you think?
Oh, James, it sounds so good. I hope ours wins.
Right, and then later on, maybe a year later, another group of theocrats come along and say, "Oh, hey, you should now follow our theocracy. If you don't, we'll kill you." Yeah.
Oh, it just feels objectively right, doesn't it?
It's objectively moral, yeah.
Objectively moral.
Because if God wasn't on their side, well, they wouldn't win. Oh. Hello, Ralph.
What is up? Sending love to our theist brothers and sisters. Every once in a while, you need an Allah snack bar. That's all I'm saying. What?
Allah Akbar?
No. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just saying that he's great. I feel like if you have a snack bar, though, you're giving out greatness. And I feel like that's empirically
Giving
a better
out
thing.
gayness?
Exactly. Oh, James, that's a little bit different. That's
Well,
that
I just thought about that
am
because
also
Ralph came
doing
in.
that. Why? Hold on. I have something for that too. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
You have no idea how happy I am to be organized with my props. I now have I have large weapons, small weapons. I literally have a
I
category.
didn't know you carried small weapons.
That's with a face. Oh, do I ever? James, can I tell you my assortment of small weapons? You have your classics, all right? You got to go classic, but sometimes you need to go a little extra out of the ordinary. Sometimes you just got to fight me. Exactly. Listen, sometimes you got to fight people in ways that they didn't even know they were ready for. Anyway.
A ray gun. Set phasers.
Exactly. Set phasers.
Set phasers to fun.
Set phasers to fun. So, to answer your question is yes. And setting love. This is what you guys do. You guys promote this. I want you to know that you are the problem.
You guys are her enabler.
Sending so much love, and also Senator Cato sending so much.
So when they can't get in the door without tripping over Amazon boxes of props outside. Yeah.
Look at this. Can we just talk about how there is a good portion of the planet that thinks the vast majority of misdeeds, misgivings, sorrows in the world are because of a snack? Like,
well, Amy,
and they're adults too. Can we just point that out?
But Amy, it was a talking snake with legs.
Oh, of course,
Vegetarian.
Exactly. We're not really doing them justice because I feel like anyone could just fall for a snake.
But when you put legs on it,
anyone could fall for a snake trying to sell them something. Exactly. But the moment the snake has legs, I feel like, I mean, excuse the pun, but they just suddenly have a leg to stand on.
There you go. I think they got it.
I'll leave now. But yes, I also have a category called faces. I just want to point that out. If you have a face, like look at the trees. Have you ever looked at the trees? I don't know, James. Have you ever? And I don't know if you know this, but there's a story about ants, and it's not a Pixar movie. Oh, religion.
That was very bad, Nick.
Mm-hmm. Listen. I stand by every word, including the ones that we say on this Midnight Ranting from James Wolfe. That's right. We are kind of in What Is Up, sending so much love to James Wolfe, reminding us that, well, we kind of say things in the middle of the night. Sometimes you'll see that the daytime will be out, but that's probably because we've been on for so long. Also, flat moon. But yes, sending so much love to James Wolfe out there.
Thanks, James.
Also, I think is one of there's a few academics I feel that get pained by this subject. I feel like James Wolfe, Beamsy, Pat, just, there's certain people.
Jason Torn.
Jason Torn get rightfully a little bit peeved at this subject because it's basically a bunch of, I was going to say, because who is anyone? I don't want to say no ones, because no one's a no one. I love you all. And yet, it's a bunch of people that sure as hell don't have degrees in the subjects. I'll tell you that much.
A lot of Dunning-Kruger going on.
And look, and a lot of people have used that. That's become the hot new thing, I think, everyone in the past few years. And yet there are legitimate cases of it, okay? We want to use that sparingly, and yet there are legitimate cases in which it is just one of them. Confidence over information, factual bearing on reality.
Well, like, we had a very cordial discussion after the debate, me and TRock, and he was talking about some of his other ideas, and he looked into the Big Bang, and he found out that it's not supported by good evidence. There's nothing there. He looked into evolution.
That's what I love. He went on a task. They sent him, the tops up there, and they're like, we need you to find out, is this Big Bang thing that these scientists
is it legit
are doing it is legit? And you know what? He came back and said no. As in, like, that is my great thing. Is he going to present his paper? That is what I would like to know. To the peer review process.
Evolution. He looked into that. He found out there's no that the evidence supporting it is very, very weak.
He did. He checked a bunch of books on.
So that's why I say
he checked a bunch of books, and he found that the Big Bang nor evolution were in any of the very specific book that he checked.
That's why I use the term Dunning-Kruger. It's and nobody's not susceptible to it. It's just when you get a little bit of knowledge about a topic, and then you tend to think you maybe know a little bit more than you really do.
Well, and they often learn a very specific segment of, I almost want to call creationist, because there's no such thing. There's no actual creationist science. What they do is they learn enough science so that they can set that up and sound technical, and then they basically disagree with it. So they use the foundation that they set themselves on to sound technical to then say nonsense. It on fire. Yes, to light it on fire. Like I said, it's like when they quote, evolution definitely, totally did not happen, and I never believed in it. Signed, Stephen Jay Gould. And you're like, I think that might be a heavily edited quote that you got up there. Yeah, a little bit mined.
They've been doing some mining there.
But sure. Yeah. And so sending love, James Wolfe, and sending love, last but not least, sending love to Matt Dig, woo-hoo, who helps us hold the galaxy in our hands. And I really just want to know, well, how do you make a galaxy, a star, a planet, any of the astral bodies in a 6,000-year-old? I've heard a few attempted cracks at creationist evolution. They end up just making some form of evolution. It looked like one generic cat, and then it spread out into different types of cats. Are you saying it evolved? Okay.
Come on, Amy. So if I told you God made the universe by putting this molecule here, and then he put that molecule there, you wouldn't accept that. So
I've heard a whole bunch of straw men just hearing the word molecule. I've heard people that be like, well, we're just molecules in motion. We're just molecules bouncing around. How do you have opinions on anything? Thanks.
We're clumps of cells.
Yes, we are, but we're carbon-based life forms.
Pond
so
scum.
act like it.
Walking pond
You're
scum.
pond scum. Oh, do I need to find Grandpa? Here we go. Speaking of small weapons, right here, Grandpa.
Can't hold it? Oh.
Over. No, he's back here. That's where we got Hovind. Imagination. But yes, thank you once again to all of our supporters, including our channel members and Patreons. I mean, our mods, the people in chat, and of course, viewers like you. You guys are who enable us to do all of us. Thank you for listening to us ramble and rant. And yeah, though, before we open up the open mic, we are sending love out there.
Love you guys.
My Big Bang and other loud noises. But don't you believe, or you just don't believe in the Big Bang? I always find it interesting because, it's just dictated by Hubble's law. Hubble's law states that everything is going outwards, and so it is sensible to understand where we began when we started to understand what the Big Bang was. When you just extrapolate backwards.
Logical and reasonable, Amy, but you have to remember you're talking to somebody who says ma logic, ma reason.
That's right.
Of reason and logic. So
there
you go.
Worship logic and reason.
Doesn't mean he's going to accept it.
That's true. But then we get turned around. But I don't want you to turn around and be like, you woke crazy people using logic and reason and not governing emotion. Please tell me why you believe in revelation. Because I think revelation is kind of silly. I don't know. Anything else I could...
Kind of.
I can't wrap my head around a God just revealing themselves to some people like peekaboo.
So, how about that beginning of that Ken Hovind Atheist Jr. debate where Atheist Jr. did a kind of I think a good presentation on evolution, and of course Kent comes along and the first thing he says, well, I found this video on AJ's channel, and AJ is bi, and he's also 5'1", and he likes makeup. Ha 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 ha! What a scumbag! What a scumbag Kent would be to immediately go and say irrelevant things, just personal attacks for nothing.
Also, I just want to say, as far as like that the makeup stuff goes, I want to keep on pointing out that the same stuff that guys in certain groups make fun each other for being faggy or gay or whatever is oftentimes hot to other girls. So when you wear guy liner, it's probably, an insult to people like Hovind. And yet I guarantee you that AJ does just fine in his community.
I guarantee you that Kent would be very appreciative when Matt Powell puts eyeliner on.
Oh, I'm sure. Like I said, and a little bit of lip gloss. Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe some like strawberry or cherry lip gloss for Matt Powell.
I also want to share a Twitter post because, like, I know that this person was trying to insult AJ, and yet the more you read it, the dumber you get. So I'm just gonna give me a second to.
And AJ, he's a gentleman. He didn't make. I didn't hear him make any ad hominem attacks on Hovind.
No, of course not.
Any personal digs. He didn't.
The atheist. We legit have a higher standard. It's why you will hear comments like. And I use this purposely in my opening statement tonight, but generally, when you go into discussion with people who are creationists, the atheist doesn't want to be like all these myths, all these fables, all these things, even though that is what we literally believe that they.
I'll do that a little bit, but just a little bit.
But yes, so I just have to show this because I know this person was trying to insult them, but think about this for a second. Okay, so and this is a retweet from AJ. So Atheist Junior is half man, half woman. Just hold that sentence in your head for a second. That's an interesting species. Can you imagine a half man, half woman species? He just believes he's a woman. Okay, none of that is coherent. I'm impressed
not at all.
That was an attempt at English, and that that it has sentences.
I question whether that person is able to dress themselves without assistance.
I really,
if they're over the age of 9 or 10.
I couldn't agree more. But once again, I feel like they were trying to make some sort of gender-related joke here. And if you don't believe in a half man, half woman species, holy. Okay, we're gonna let you wrap that yourself.
Right.
Who did you debate tonight? Oh, I didn't debate anyone tonight. So we are doing an after show for a few days. Exactly, a late for James's debate on standing for truths against TRock.
That's where I debated about that mythic flood that you like to believe in, Ralph, that never happened. We were talking about that pipe dream of global genocide.
And they always get upset that we get upset. They're like, why do you atheists? You don't even believe it. Well, I get it, but the debate is about it happening. And so
you're saying it's a good thing.
If it is. Yeah.
Yes, it happened, and it's good. It's good that he did.
They had it coming.
Yeah.
They had it coming. Apparently, even the children had themselves to blame.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been born, right? I mean, hey.
Shouldn't have been born.
They should have been born to Noah and his wife.
But James, we're about to open it up. So before we open it up, and thank you, AJ, for sharing that to the internet, because Creationist.
Yeah, I just gotta say he did a really good job in that debate, and you remember that in the debate, the point where Kent basically implied he was a sex machine, saying he's been married for 50 years and he's really good at it. He's good at it, Amy. And apparently that might be true if you read comments from Mrs. Hoban the Fourth, because he hasn't been married probably for 50 years, not to the same woman, but Mrs. Hoban the Fourth says that she is very satisfied with that aspect of their relationship.
She'd even give so under testimony, which she may have to.
Give it another year or so. But she's apparently they're having lots and lots and lots of you know what.
And all right, on that note, we are actually about to open up the open mics. We're just gonna I am gonna do I gotta do my short spiel.
Okay. All right. We're ready.
Sponsored by Sugar Salty Water.
Thank you, Ralph.
What's he saying? Did I miss something?
He's saying, does James fancy Kent in his British accent?
Oh my!
No, I'm not going to be.
No, I have a very. That's right. You're not going to be Matt Powell. I have a specific fetish for.
He already has a boy toy.
For Hawaiian T-shirts, and so, and SpongeBob's. So, just Hawaiian T-shirts and SpongeBob's. They're just kind of my combo. They're kind of my thing. So, with that, and before we open it up to the open mic, the great Genesis flood and Noah's Ark is a mythological story. Scientists know this. Anthropologists know this. Fudge. Most of the Jews know this. Yet Christians, especially of the young earth variety, well, they're trendsetters in trying to make a philosophy out of fables. Taking 2 by 2 of one of every animal sounds like an opening to a riddle. It does not mark the events of an actual event in history. There was never a gentleman or a family who did this, nor did it rain so hard that everyone else forgot how to make boats. There is no archaeological evidence that suggests that a massive extinction via water. You see, the earth does flood. What we like to call local floods, which is odd until you realize people are talking about global floods, which, as far as we can tell, didn't happen. Shupa da whoopa into the trash can. There never was a massive boat with all the animals on it. And, you know, you seem to know this by the time you're a teenager. Right around the time of reason, we start to understand that these stories, like Noah and his ark, or Moses and his tablets, or Adam and Eve with their apple.
Steve.
I'm sorry, Adam and Steve. That this was basically what a bunch of desert people had before Hollywood or Broadway. Lots of sand, but not much else. So imagination needed to step in. This is where I think I hear the phrase, the great Genesis flood and Noah's Ark. I think maybe some fucker just actually wanted it to rain.
Maybe slavery is bad.
Maybe slavery is bad. Thank you. But yes, with that, and before we open up the floodgates, how are you tonight, James? And what do you think? Have you been convinced of this massive flood event and all these, the Ark event, the Ark Gate?
Yeah, no, I'm not convinced. And I thought Yeah, there was this debate. There was a few things he threw at me that I had not anticipated. So I think I did all right. I think it's important that any debater be aware of the fact that they can always improve. You can always do better. You can always be more prepared. No, I think no matter how prepared you are, you can
I still
always
did
prepare
good though.
more. I think I still did all right. Yeah. But the thing that struck me is just how credulous and how he thinks it's so reasonable that all the plants could have been underwater for all this time, and then maybe a few of them survived because the roots break off, and maybe they resprouted, and whatever leftover food Noah had that the animals didn't eat, all those seeds that they could just repopulate the earth with, get an entire earth full of greenery almost instantly. It's very I don't think it could work. I don't see it working, but of course he said otherwise. And what else did I think was really strange? His claim that of rapid diversification. So if we were to tell these young Earth creationists that animals change very slowly over long periods of time, they don't buy it. They don't think so. They only think, oh, you can only see what you can see, and we don't know what happens long term. Maybe they stay the same because there's a limit that God put in there somewhere. Um, but if they need it to work for their flood because they can't have billions of animals on this boat, well, then, hey, they're going to invoke evolution, and hey, there you go. 2 cats, boom, 100 years later, we have all the species back again. It's fine. It works. Nobody thinks it would work who actually knows anything, but they needed to work for their story. Um, and yeah, he tried to throw lots of technical. He tried to do like a John Maddox, where he tries to dazzle you with technical terms and math. And to me, my style of reasoning and everything, I try to keep things a little bit simpler, a little bit um, more reasonable. And I could say that I don't need to know rates of plate tectonic movement if your theory for plate tectonics for the arc is plausible under some geological theory, whatever. I doubt it. But even if it was, if the Egyptians were there before the flood, during and after the flood, and they didn't notice it, if the Far East, if the people in China, Vietnam, Laos, if they were there before the flood, during the flood, and after the flood, and didn't notice it, if there were people in there were Native Americans, the Mayans, the Incas, if they were over here already doing their thing, having their civilization before the flood, during the flood, and after the flood, not much else matters. Your flood didn't happen. It doesn't matter how plausible you try to make the numbers sound. It did not happen. Just because something is plausible does not mean it actually happened. And not that the flood is plausible, even from the numbers perspective, because when you take into account things like the heat problem, when you take into account things like the fact that there just isn't that much water on the earth to begin with to flood the high mountains, which is one thing I pointed out. A lot of times they'll say, oh, well, there weren't really mountains before the flood, so we didn't really need that much water. But the Bible says there were mountains, even high mountains. It doesn't, well, maybe they had mountains, but they weren't big like they are today. No, the Bible says high mountains. And it just goes to show, like, one thing that I pointed out is how sparingly the biblical authors use magic in the story because they didn't think they needed it. To them, it just seemed fine. All you got to do is you get a really big boat, you load it down with a bunch of animals, you bring the food, you put a bunch of 8 people on there to take care of them. It rains a lot, and then rains a lot, and keeps raining a lot, and then it keeps raining, and then it floods. And then there you go. They're in underwater for about a year. They land on a mountain, and everything is fine because that's really what they thought would be fine. Now, there's a lot of problems in that we know today, but they didn't really know a lot about that when these stories were being written 800 BC, 900 BC, right in there, which of course they'll tell you was written centuries before that, but that's just one more thing that they're wrong about. Um, and this story, it kind of mirrors one thing that we see throughout the Old Testament in particular, well, the Pentateuch especially, because of the you have the documentary hypothesis, the JEPD, and you have the redactors who go in and edit things out or try to spruce things up when they make mistakes. But how you have two different accounts, or you have modified accounts, which is so the main thrust of the Genesis story started from who they call the Yahwist, the author, probably the first one who rose up, the author, and but it was edited most likely by the priestly source, because of course he is concerned with all things priestly. That he probably was a priest. Go figure, right? The priestly source, but he recognized a problem with the original story, which said to bring one pair of each animals, because of course, as soon as you get off the boat, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to ritually slaughter an animal and burn it to your deity. But the problem with that is, if you only have one pair of animals and you start killing them, then that species would go extinct, and you would not have future animals of that kind to sacrifice to your deity, which would make God very, very sad. He likes lots of sacrifices. So the priestly source said, oh, that's not going to work. So he changed it to 7 pairs of the clean animals. So we get this contradictory instruction where God is telling Noah, take 1 pair of each animals, and a paragraph later, take 1 pair of each animals and 7 pairs of the clean animals. Because these scribes, when they found different manuscripts, they might find both of them and they'd say, which is, well, we'll just write both of them down. So that's what they did. That's why Genesis has 2 different narratives of creation, because one version and one other guy thought, nope, that's not going to work. Let me modify that. He just put both of them there. And you get this throughout. You get multiple stories of God killing Ar and Ra's sons for strange fire. You get different retellings of the same event, just from a different author's viewpoint, perspective, the nuance they want to put on it. And so it all just got copied in there, and it's one big mess. But we know that it didn't happen. We know it didn't happen from a scientific perspective, just from a common sense perspective, from a historical perspective. And thankfully it didn't happen, right? Thankfully, because it's a story about God committing genocide, genociding the entire population, and that has theological implications for it. And I said I wasn't really going to go into that much during the debate, because I know that doesn't really give Christians any pause. They don't care. They just assume God's moral. They don't care what he does. Divine command theory applies. If he does it, it's got to be good. He must have a reason, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. Maybe we'll understand it when we get there. But it does touch upon, so that doesn't really give them any difficulties, right? But it does touch upon the idea. Me and Amy talked a little bit about this a couple weeks back, when we talked about the idea of regret, where God, who is a all-knowing, all-wise being, creates mankind and then says he regrets it. A regret is something you did, but you wish you hadn't done it. Now, the thing is, if you're all-wise and all-knowing, could you really regret something? Would you do something that you know you don't want to do? You like, I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to do it anyway. But is that all wise? No, that's not all wise. So it does have theological implications that really strike at the nature, the character, the being of God, certainly the goodness of God, the love of God, and the incompetence and ineptitude of God. Because what does it say? That God saw that there were bad people on the world, so he decided to flood the earth. And good thing he did that, because there's no bad people anymore, right? Right? Was it a success? Did it work? No. Of course it didn't work. Of course there's bad people then. There's bad people today. There will almost certainly always be people who would be considered bad, or antisocial people who don't have empathy and concern for their fellow human beings. There unfortunately probably always be that, or certainly for a long time. And a flood's not going to solve that. So thanks, Amy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much,
Thanks, Ralph.
James. And that's right, a flood isn't going to solve that.
It didn't.
And it did.
Did it work? Didn't work.
Doesn't seem like sinning or whatever. Doesn't seem like anything stops what humans want to do, because God's plan gets messed up over and over and over.
Oh, I mean, that damn snake, Amy. He didn't know that. He couldn't have saw that coming. The talking snake with legs.
And so we'll respond to some people in chat. We'll say hello to everybody, but we are going to send the link. I'll give the same warning. I know some channels, they're like, well, if you don't want to, if you don't
Come in,
join,
don't
why,
talk,
why even talk in chat?
Keep
No,
quiet.
no. Look, if you're in sweatpants and eating ice cream and you just like debating in chat, that's fine. Though, if you disagree with us, we want you to come on. God is never portrayed as an all-knowing in the Bible. It's portrayed that way by Christians and other people. Well, I will say, I mean, I give, coming from coming from a Jewish family, I try to give props to the Jews because they seem the most to know that this is not a real story, that this is mythological in nature, and that you're supposed to. I am sending a shout out to, trying to find his name now. Alpha Centaurian. Look, we will send love to any of the scientific theists out there. We understand. My joke is I'll put the Bill Burr SeaWorld priest joke over here. Okay, we've put that over there. When we put that over there, I accept that the Catholics accept evolution. They accept the Big Bang because they had one of their priests had a founding in that. So they're like, yeah, I want to take a little bit of credit. So that's fine. We want the Christians who actually want to say that the world is 4.5 billion years old. These episodes are just dedicated to, well, there's unfortunately
The others.
and they're bigger than they should be. So we're taking pot shots at them. And so with that being said, I already see Beamsy, James Wolf, John Vance, Alpha Centaurian. We'll let James W. respond, but then we're gonna get people on for some midnight ranting.
So it's clear that God did, at least in the Bible, he didn't start off as omnipotent, all-knowing, because he wasn't in the original version of it, in the original Old Testament. He was not the only God. He was just one of many gods. He evolved that way to the point where about midway through the Old Testament, he begins claiming that he's the only God. There, yeah, very, very much so. Yeah, very careful, very sparing use of that word. But he evolves anyway, because everything evolves. Languages evolve, everything evolves. But God, he slowly becomes omnipotent as they realize that for the religion to evolve, it would be better for them to claim not just that he's more badass than the other gods, but actually he's the only God. That would be the better selling point. So they changed it, and now he's omnipotent. He's all-knowing. Yeah, Baal was his brother. Yeah, it was a family feud in the original understanding of it.
Gotta go into canon. But okay, we're going into the open mic. Like I said, come one, come all. We're actually looking for views that disagree with our own, but we also want skeptics and science-minded people. So we're going into it. Beamsy, you're starting us off. We are moving into the Midnight Ranting open mic.
Open mic.
Hey, what is up, Beamsy? Hope you're doing well. we are actually Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. What are your thoughts?
The biggest thing that always never comes up in any of these discussions is the Missoula flood. Well, correctly stated, it's actually the Missoula superflood events. They will instantly disprove anything of a global flood because of the sheer devastation that was caused by something on just a local scale on that size.
I mentioned it, the super flood, that the ripples that were found 40 feet high and thousands of feet long, thousands of meters long. But
Yeah, that's in Missoula.
yeah, the Missoula super flood in eastern United States.
And then you've also got to take into account the Scablands, an area that's left behind by that sort of devastation, and nothing grows there. That's what they would expect all over the world after an event like that.
Well, especially the salt deposits it would leave throughout the soil.
Then taking into account, if they keep saying that all the layers were formed by the flood, how would they have stratified and solidified in that duration of time? And therefore, you still wouldn't have anything for trees to grow in.
Yeah, it doesn't work top to bottom. There's just so many different ways you could show that this is clearly a myth.
Archaeology shows it's wrong. Geology shows it's wrong. Any understanding of fluid dynamics shows it's wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. Amy shows it's wrong.
And all right, thank you. Well, I mean, I agree. I think that it is a mythological story, that it started out that way, and now it's just
Clearly.
Anyone who tries to use it as science, I feel, is well, they're using the religious head first.
The original story, actually. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, isn't it even hard to imagine how this happened? Like, they started looking around the other cultures and say, like, damn, all these cultures got them a flood myth. Well, we need to have us a flood myth, I guess, because hey, they've all got theirs. We need ours. So,
but the original story can actually be coincided with a massive flood event in the Iraqi floodplains, and it actually makes a lot of sense when you actually read what it says. It was a harrowing and scary event that actually happened to a group of families that were punting up and down a river on a barge.
Yeah, that's I guess I think that's typical along with mythology, where you take an actual event and you make a story out of it based on a real event, but the details.
But the actual story that was given is close to what you would expect, and it does follow aspects which we can see in geology through that area, and it coincides for about the right time by the sedimentations we can actually go through and present the size of the flood. And the fact that they got washed out of the Persian Gulf would be absolutely terrifying for people living on a punt that's only designed to go up and down the river.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep, makes sense that we would actually have flood myths, just not two of every animal and all that stuff. But yeah, Beamsy, thank you. Not only thank you so very much, stick around for the open conversation. All right.
I really want to slap this House of Comments. He's just
Ralph. It's been long overdue that we have Debate Me Bras, so I will say that if you want to very specifically choose a comment, choose a topic, and come on and Debate Me Bra, I think we'd love to set that up.
Amy loved to slap Ralph.
Oh my!
Slap him with what? I will leave that to your imagination.
I only bite if you're into that kind of thing. And we are moving forward, Beamsy. Thank you so very much.
My evidence.
My reason, I know exactly. James Wolf, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis Flood in Noah's Ark. I hope you are doing well. And what are your thoughts about the topic, the debate, anything we talk about?
Yeah, thanks for letting me jump on. I've got to run very shortly. I've just got to go out, but this TRock fella, he's so I've watched the last few debates, him and Mark Reed, and obviously with yourself, James. And he seems like an interesting fella. He's the type of guy. He's got sort of attributes I wish I had. He seems like like a practical, hands-on skills kind of guy, knowledge surrounding engineering. I wish I had these sorts of abilities so I could, change a tire or patch a roof, this kind of stuff. But like one thing that really struck me with Mark's, the debate with Mark, if any of you caught it, was that, and I think this carried over into your debate, James, was that how the thought that we can't apply the scientific method to history, and a massive over-reliance on eyewitness testimony from his end, and taking it at face value whilst neglecting other important historiographical methods. I think he really dismissed I don't want to be too uncharitable to him, but I guess I don't really have anything else. Just giving you my take. He seemed like to dismiss the validity of logical fallacies. There was a lot of talk around, this ridiculous philosophical talk. And he just didn't, I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit uncharitable, but he didn't seem to have any sort of respect or grasp or respect for, the usefulness of citing logical fallacies rather, and that sort of dialectical method. So it's I don't know. To me, it seemed like that sort of reflected perhaps that his epistemological toolkit was severely damaged. And I don't want to say he knows very little about critical thinking, but that's sort of certainly how it came across to me. One thing that reflected this really.
Oh, I was just going to say, do you remember the part when he went into like evolution? I don't think it really helped him going into that, but even though it wasn't off topic, I don't think he really made much headway there. But then he started making the irreducible complexity argument. I said, that's irreducible. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, no,
yeah.
that's irreducible. He's like, but how can one part of it form if you don't have it, the whole thing? Like, that's irreducible complexity. That's been discredited. Like, no, it's slightly different. It's a slightly modified version of it.
Yeah, he was good in framing it in a way that might seem plausible to that. I guess that's a pretty important part if you're trying to push a completely discredited theory to sort of frame it in a way that seems plausible. But one thing that I took out, one reflection of just what I was referring to, just in regards to the debate with you, James, was how he suggested that languages are constructed, and I guess from in a literal sense that's kind of true, but he kind of suggested that they were socially inorganic, which is about as far from truth as you can get.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I don't know, you're not the only one. It's a really good analogy. You're not the only one that's used it to say to illustrate how evolution, and because someone like me who's not really strong with the hard sciences, it's a good way of illustrating how evolution actually works in a real layman's way. And I think it's
small changes over time add up to large changes. Exactly right.
And I don't know. He was good at delivering science from the most rudimentary level in the sense of the direct. In the sense of a direct demonstration sense, but it kind of beyond what you can. I mean, this is the same thing with Hovind too, is that beyond direct observation, you can't really tell anything else. And I don't know if he was coming from that perspective, but that's how it struck me. And how he criticised you, James, about how you were framing the debate, and I kind of, I think you did really well in the sense that you were illustrating the scientific absurdity of the flood narrative by using an anthropological context to frame its mythological origins. Right. And he kind of dismisses a philosophical, I don't know if philosophy is the right word to use. Maybe like a history-based history-based comparison method or something like that might have been a better way. Just so you know, it's such a common theme throughout different mythologies, and it'd be so negligent not to identify that. But it didn't seem to worry him at all.
Right. No, he's arbitrarily chosen to believe it, and that's what I think is faith. Faith is where you just arbitrarily choose to believe something that you don't have enough evidence to believe it under normal circumstances, but you just choose to believe it anyway. And
and I suppose, I mean, to be hyper charitable to him, I suppose he was trying to say that, okay, well, all these mythologies are the result of one massive flood, okay, but that's just completely irreconcilable with the historical record. That it was a unified thing. Anyway. No, but I better go, guys. Sorry, go on.
You got to go. I was just going to say, after the debate, I had the chance that we had a cordial conversation afterwards. So, because we didn't really get into, he never responded to like the historical archaeological evidence of pre-flood civilization during the flood, after the flood with no change. I said, what would you have said to that? Would you have just said that the archaeologists, everybody's wrong about these dates, that they all arose post-flood? And he basically said, yeah, that's what he would have said. They're all wrong. They all arose post-flood. They're being erroneously dated pre-flood. But yeah, basically everybody else is wrong, so that my theory can work.
No, but no, really enjoyed it, James. Awesome work. I'll watch the rest of the show later, guys. I gotta run off. Love you both.
So much,
Thanks,
James.
guys. Appreciate it.
Night, James Wolfe. It was nice having you on.
Thanks, guys.
And all right, we're actually gonna bring in John Vance. What is up? We are Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts about the debate or the topic itself?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I have maybe a different contribution. I have been deep in my studies, and I've happened to come across Isaiah 45, chapter 45, verse 47. Chapter 47 of Isaiah, and it's titled "The Fall of Babylon." Just kind of keeping in the mythos of God creating destruction of the world. And so here I go. This is my contribution. So, go down, sit in the dust, virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne, daughter of the Babylonians. No more will you be called tender or delicate. Take millstones and grind flour. Take off your veil, lift up your skirts, bare your legs, and wade through the streams. Your nakedness will be exposed, and your shame uncovered. I will take vengeance. I will spare no one. Our Redeemer, the Lord Almighty, is his name, and is the Holy One of Israel. Sit in silence, go into darkness, daughter of Babylon. No more will you be called Queen of Kingdoms. I was angry with my people, and I desecrated my inheritance. I gave them into your hand, and you showed them no mercy, even on the aged. You laid a very heavy yoke. You said, I will continue forever, the eternal queen.
Continue.
But you do not consider.
How much longer are you going to go?
I'm almost done.
Okay.
But you consider these things or reflect on what might happen. So, to me, basically, if I were to just what I just read, I thought, and it was just very important that I read the thing, is basically there is a where we kind of have what you would say I'm trying to figure out the word right now. Stagnation, and God goes into this, and it's just basically it's talking about the destruction of Babylon, and it doesn't necessarily have to be flood, but it's also a tribulation that one goes through, and one needs to repent of their sin, because we all die, and
I agree with you there.
we
all die.
do, and the verse 47, it goes into more, and I realize this is not I'll try to keep my theological
Well, can I just
reading.
ask, are you're on the book of Isaiah,
Yes.
chapter 47?
Yes.
Can you just hold on for 1 second?
Sure.
I just wanna, because that's what I was really trying to look up.
We'll get to the book of
Fall of
Isaiah, and
Babylon.
I think the year 23, 21,
Yeah.
60.
I just want to. I always like to have it, at least when people are talking about it, so people can know.
I was also going to say maybe we should do a Bible reading with a theist perspective.
Amy loves her the Bible.
Oh, well, I mean, I will say, I mean, that's what our Bible studies are for. We, it is basically we do it, and then we have an open mic at the very end.
We
so
do it, and then we have an
who
open mic,
disagrees,
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
pay the price, Ralph.
if you are saying, and the point that it sounds like you're saying is God's going to kill some people, and he's going to, sometimes you got to clean house. I mean,
he's going to kill them until they're dead.
It seems that he does do that in the Bible. I disagree with someone that would want to do that, but
he also speaks foul of the church. The church are also apostates as well.
Well, that sounds like a cannon battle. I may have to bring in our next guest.
It's like a big tribulation. It's kind of like a flood, but it's tribulation. It's the fall of civilization. It's a big topic.
Okay.
Well, and hey, we're open for.
How big, Amy?
Wait, you're going to trigger my 15 feet. Here we go. I have my Moses stick ready. This is exactly what we counted.
I noticed when I'm reading, I've read the Bible for like, I don't know, a week straight now. I'm starting to think I'm in Shakespearean times, like if Shakespeare.
Wait, have you been hanging out with the preacher?
I'm starting to get into a Shakespearean internal monologue a little bit. So,
Have you been hanging out with the preacher Perry?
No.
18 hours.
He does 18 hours a day Bible reading, so you should hook up with him.
Bible camp, yeah. Bible boot camp. Oh yeah, I do follow somebody on Twitter.
Shit. But you should. You
maybe it's him.
The great thing is, it's like you get to eat everything, but no fat. It's you can sin no more as long as you. I'm trying not to straw man him because it still sounds silly to me even when I steel man it. Basically, as long as you believe you're sinning, you're sinning. But if you don't believe you're sinning and you're over sinning, you're over sinning.
It's like the great Aaron Ra talking about the flood when he said the termites would be the only ones with abundant food, but they wouldn't be allowed to eat it.
No, but there's time now. And okay, John, you could any last words? You could stick around. We're just gonna keep on at it. We just got 2 more people.
Yes, I will stick around, and I look forward to. I guess the purpose of Bible study is just to read it and then discuss. So that's what's basically my opening thing. People can take it or leave it. I'm sorry if it was a little long.
No, you're good then.
Okay. I know you guys have like a time limit or whatever, so
not really. It's informal.
Thank you.
Well, we want everyone. It almost like tennis. We enjoy the back and forth, but we do want everyone to get exactly what they're. We want you to actually be able to make your point across.
Right.
And feel
you don't want a big Shakespearean monologue.
But you are allowed to rant, so that's okay.
Okay.
So welcome
Controlled
and
rant.
welcome aboard. Exactly. And we're gonna keep on going down.
All right. Cool.
Your doctor is in chat now.
What's up, Jamie Russell? Woo-hoo. Miracle Stream 8. It came into Miracle Stream in 18
You know
hours.
that guy, Jeff?
Oh, he's
I'm just
about to
guessing
have
he's
one. What's that?
I was asking John if he knows the good doctor in chat, if he's one of his buddies.
Ah, gotcha.
One of my fellow PhD.
Yeah.
Internet scholars.
Something like that.
An acolyte.
There's so much. Yeah. Anybody could be an expert now. I don't know why people.
And I will say, anytime I see the sentence "synagogue of Satan," I just get excited.
Uh oh. That might be one of my.
gods.
That might be. Oh, that might be my
TOS
entourage.
gods.
Entourage is here.
No,
I brought my entourage
it's okay.
here.
Wait, Soros, we're getting a message from Soros right now. He's telling us to shut it down. We actually have to shut it down. And so we are going. That's right. Jason Momoa. And all right, thank you so very much, John Vance. We're going to keep on going with the opening statements, but stick around. And do. What is up? I probably got it wrong last time too. Alpha Centurion Alpha?
Yeah, that's me.
Woohoo! What is up? I hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts on our topic of the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark? Either the debate or just the topic in general?
Just the topic in general. There's one thing that bothers me. Mind you, I'm a Catholic. I'm a Christian. There's one thing that bothers me whenever I hear a lot of anti-theists or atheists attack a fundamentalist. And mind you, I don't agree with a fundamentalist. I'm not a literalist or anything like that. But it's just one real critique. And that's that when you're correcting someone who's ignorant, is that you're also insulting the power of the story, the narrative itself, and you're insulting the early believers, like the early church fathers and the early rabbinical fathers, like you were mentioning earlier. They didn't take it literally, but they still considered it true, and they had a much more, I don't want to say nuanced, but a deeper understanding of the literature than someone like Ken Hovind has, you know. And I just think that when we're correcting these people, I don't think it does anyone any favors to downplay the fact that the original intended audience didn't take it literal. So I think that
they did or didn't
take it 100% literal. They didn't. Like you
don't think the early Jews didn't take it? They didn't really believe it was an actual event?
Well, according to the earliest commentaries, I have the Shemesh. I actually have it. I'm not going to open it, but like in the commentary on the flood, it talks about how the audience understood that it was probably talking about the area being flooded. Now, they might have understood it as the Mediterranean being flooded, but we in the future can look at it as being just the basin, maybe either around Babylon or maybe
Iraqi, Babylon,
maybe just the Iraq. Yeah, like we can understand that because we have that context. They didn't, so they might have understood it because of the Great Deluge, as referred to in mythology and Greek myths. They might have understood it as the Mediterranean being flooded. But even they didn't understand it as a global meaning, like the entire round world being flooded. They understood it as regional, but from the perspective of the author. And that's another thing that when Amy, when you started going at that, that's when I started typing, is that it bothered me because like not only does the narrative make references to the Atar Hasis and the Epic of Gilgamesh, which are separate narratives that are completely different, not inspired by, but completely different stories. But it also, hold on, I wrote it down so I didn't say it stupidly. It also misses the fact that there's idioms in the story that point to the fact that they're not being literal. And it's like if where I live flooded, and I said, you know, when I was telling the story that I lifted up my eyes and suddenly the whole world was underwater, you would understand hearing me say that because you survived. You're not drowned. you would also understand that I'm being metaphorical, but I'm being dramatic. Like the audience would have understood that when they were reading this, that there were some idioms in the story. And that's all I kind of wanted to add. It was just that.
Sure. And I would just say if most of the people took it metaphorically, we would not have a problem. The problem just comes because, a portion of these people are, if you were to ask the person that James debated,
Mhm.
is the Ark not only a historical event, but a scientific event that we should teach as a scientific event in public school, he would have said yes. And so
Oh.
that's where
Literal, actual history.
I could almost, like I said, when because you'll never find a bigger fan of the Joseph Smith style mythic structure than me. I think when you stop taking this literally, you find all of the usage, because then you can use it in a plethora of different types of stories. It's just when it really is. It's unfortunately, the scientific theists are stuck in the center, and I don't know how to unstuck you.
Well, but so like for me, like if it's inspired by a real event, and then whoever the actual players are, we forget, but we know that there was a flood, and then we turn it into a narrative, and then that narrative survives because what gets added to it, through the retelling ends up being valuable. And that's another type of truth, is that kind of moral, ethical truths or whatever lessons that you get from it. So you have two different types of truth contained within the story. You have the event that is long forgotten, but you have this like kernel of truth to it. And then you have the moral lesson that stays true throughout time. I think that still counts as true. It just doesn't count as accurate, like historically accurate. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with me on that, but that's where I would go.
I would just say I think we can appreciate these for what they are, for their literary and historical value, for giving you an insight into what people were thinking at the time, what the moral and philosophical understanding of the people was. I think they're very useful for things like that, and I wouldn't argue that. It's mainly just when people try to say no, they're literal, actual history, word for word, which is where they conflict with science and with reality more than making it about philosophy and yeah.
But well, can I push back on one thing, and
Go
then
ahead.
I'll be done. Which is like, okay, there's going to be a new Marilyn Monroe series coming out, and this is going to be a dramatized, not based on her biography, not based on any of that. It's going to be a complete fiction, but they're calling it like the greatest story told, and we're going to watch it, and we're going to take facts that are not true, and now whenever we retell the story of Marilyn Monroe, we're going to include this fictional stuff from this supposedly really powerful show that's going to come out. So does that make Marilyn Monroe false, just because this narrative is going to be the narrative going forward whenever we speak of Marilyn Monroe, even though it's a fiction?
Right. I mean, obviously, she existed. She was
Yeah.
a person. Whether or not people want to come and have a different take on her, different spin
Based on
on
a fiction, yeah. So our perspective of the real person, who we don't know anyway, because it's a person who changed their name, did all that kind of stuff. But you're still going to have the image now being changed by a fiction, and the fictional narrative is going to take over. What is it? It's there's this great saying that when the truth or when the fiction becomes more popular than the reality, the fiction becomes the reality, something like that. Robert Rule used to use it a lot in his like stand-up shows.
But
I guess there's validity, a little bit of.
But I also would just
nuance
say, because I would still separate that out, though, because I would
Okay.
say that there is value in someone being able to, like, if you could even say such a thing, say, teach a class that says this is what the actual Marilyn Monroe was right, this is what I could find from scholarly, and then I think Hollywood should have the ability to have creative artistry and not be, I hate to say, a slave to the science and the facts, but because you are in a realm where, you know, there may be flying ninjas and all sorts of things that you come in for the ticket for. It's just when you have to, like I said, as long as you are not trying to teach one version of a religious view as science, and you are instead trying to, I think, in the other direction, I think all children should be taught religious views of all sorts of cultures. And so if you want to say this is actually the oral tradition of thousands of years, this is what inspired maybe 3+ religions, depending on how you cut them up, on all sorts of things, that I think is very important with all of the context and stuff. So I see a point at what you're saying. I just, like I said, you keep it metaphorical, great things happen. It's only when the literal that we get these feuds.
And then I'm going to have to bow out because I got to work in the morning. So.
Sounds great. Thank you for joining us, Alpha Centurion. It was wonderful having you.
Good to have you on, get your perspective. Yeah.
All right,
and all right, we're going to get Dog on, and then we are going to just open it up into open conversation.
Yeah.
Dog. That's right. What is up? We are Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. Hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts about the debate, the subject, or anything we've been talking about?
Well, I did pray to God that I could come on after John, the Babylonian, naked woman guy, and God forsaken me again.
Damn it!
And he put me in. He put me in after a theist who never explained his reason why. Because there's many flood in the Bronze Age. There's flood myths all over that plane, through China, Japan,
all over
Mesopotamia. All these local floods, all these local beliefs of these floods. Obviously, it's become a massive big thing, and why Centurion thought it was it's some sort of metaphor of what he didn't explain of what, because half the world believed that this flood happened and the animals went in 2 by 2. You can't explain that, and I have to agree with Beamsy. He got it right. The flood was local. If it was a flood, you can just type it into the Google and it'll always come up flood myths. And these myths are all over the planet for all religions. It's just a crazy, crazy thing. But yeah, that Bible reading that intrigued me a lot. How he thinks that is a thing. It just makes God a total pervert, as far as I'm concerned. God is a perv.
Kind of
that he is.
He is. Well, I think that's what makes him, a lot of them, sexual deviants, because you suppress such a basic instinct like sex. Then you're going to be a pervert. That's all it makes.
Indeed. And all right, with that, we're just going to keep on agreeing with you, Dog. So we're just going to go into the open conversation. I want to thank our panel for joining us, because we are Midnight, including Gizmo. That's right. We are Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis, Flood, and Noah's Ark. And I feel bad for you, John. I know it's basically you're the only Abrahamic faith person on here, but we always appreciate our theist brothers and sisters.
We're all Muslim now.
I'll try to punch above my weight as best as I can. So yeah. So basically, my reading of the fall of Babylon in Isaiah. So I was reading while you guys were talking. So I just heard a little bit of what the Dog, is that the guy's name? Dog?
Yeah.
His username. Okay. So yeah. So I wasn't talking about like sexual repression or anything like that. I was talking about the stagnation of what the Bible calls Babylonian, and that it goes deeper into. It says, "You wotan creature,
Oh boy, does it?
You longing your security and saying to yourself, I am, and there is none besides me." And so basically it just goes on to saying that, you'll never believe that you'll lose your children, your wife or your spouse. And, one day it's going to come upon you. I feel like this story, if you really like meditate
I know the story, and you do not see anything. You do not see any sexual repression in that story at all.
No, there's nothing about. It doesn't talk about. Like it doesn't go into specific sins per se. It just goes into a mindset. It's like, I know it says lift up your skirt, bare your legs. So that's kind of like a metaphor of like lifting up a rock and seeing like underneath it like bugs and stuff like that, right? It's like there's another passage that talks about, oh, you Pharisees, you hypocrites, you're clean on the outside but messy on the inside. That's basically what it's saying.
If you look at the Old Testament and the New Testament, it's basically non-sex kill manual. Let's just say that you can kill people, you can't have sex. But you can't kill people.
Like that's a thing with
that
like
pretty much sums it up. That's a good analysis, Doug.
Well, that's the problem with like how people read the Bible is, or even read any Abraham.
No, that's what the Bible is.
Like it's just like, I wasn't even mentioning about like sin or anything like that, like specific sin. It was just it's just the mindset, and it's just like you just want to ad hom. You just want to use your ad hominem attack. I'm reading a verse that has nothing to do with the sexual sin, the deviancy, and you want to make it into that. It's not what I'm saying. You have to be like, you have to like understand the context behind it, and it's just like you just threw in your ad hominem like attack on it, and that's not what at all it was saying. Is like you just missed the whole story. You missed the forest you missed the tree from the forest, right? Or forest, yeah.
No,
you mistake the forest for the tree.
My attack is not ad hominem. It is basically, that's what the Bible is. It's a list of rules put in stories.
Yes, so the Ten Commandments to be the keeper of the faith, to hold those 10 commandments.
So
thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. They're basically the two that mean anything to this day. The 10th commandment is a thought crime.
But which of the 10 commandments are you talking about? Because there's two different ones, and one's 11 commandments and the other one's 14.
Well, one of them's 21.
And wait, on that note, I am going to pause it. Just we're sending love a $5 super sticker from Ian Davenport, and he is just celebrating, basically going like this. That looked really bad when I went like that. But it's like one of the, what the hell are they called? When it's at sporting events?
It's your normal look.
I know. I'm trying to make something
Cheerleading,
non-phallic. There's a specific term for it. They make sound.
He's reveling.
Reveling, I'll take it. Sending so much love, Ian Davenport, for the support. Woo! and the super sticker, and sending hi to Mark Reed. In fact, we are going to add
Hey,
Mark
Mark.
Reed to the stage.
Mark Reed.
Mark
Hello.
Reed, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. They're like the creationist peanut butter and chocolate. Hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts about the debate, the topic, or anything we've been talking about?
Yes, the creationist Reese's Pieces, right? Have I got that right? That's an American reference. I'm not sure I got right, but
Yes, it is. In fact, if you were Captain America, you could say, I got that.
Okay, cool. I got that
Put some
reference.
Vegemite on it.
Sorry, yeah, nice. I just got in, so I'm just taking off my shoes. Said hello, everybody. Hello, Dog and Beamsy, and I'm sorry I missed the third person in. And hello, James and Amy. John, yeah, I did catch the start of your debate, but I haven't watched it in its entirety. I kind of only got up to the start of the other guy's introduction. But I did love you wearing the Hawaiian shirt.
Oh,
nice work in a homage / parody of a certain grifter that we all know and adore. Yeah, it's good to be here. I did notice the conversation wasn't really about Noah's Ark, though. It was more about sort of
kind of got off track.
Yeah, that's okay. But somebody sort of mentioned
that we're naughty boys and girls.
Well, I couldn't find the ad hominem that you were talking about, and I really would like to sort of investigate what personal attribute that is being attacked of yours, because I'm not sure that I see it.
That is what I was gonna.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys.
Sorry, no, it's all right, Mark. I mean, you're a quality guy, but but you're as intrigued as I
am. Yeah.
Is this the way I would phrase it? Is this basically the Dunning-Kruger effect, where you're basically attributing one broad point towards something that is not in context with what I was reading towards my introduction, which was Isaiah chapter 47.
Well, the Dunning-Kruger is when you believe that you have more experience than you actually do because you don't know what it is that you don't understand.
It's like you know like a little bit of information, and then you think you know, but you don't know as much as you think you know.
So, as a theist, how many God? Because you mentioned the 10 Commandments. So you believe in only one God, yeah?
Yeah, that's the Abrahamic.
Yeah. So, but in the Old Testament, there's 96 gods, and in Exodus, in the 10 Commandments itself, the very first commandment is what? What is the first commandment?
Thou shalt not kill.
No, thou shalt not have no other gods before.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
thou shalt not have no other gods. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not murder.
Thou shalt not kill. It's the 6th commandment.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's thou shalt not have any other gods.
The first commandment is that thou shalt not have no other gods before me. So even God himself in the commandment has acknowledged that there's other gods. And even in Abrahamic, in scripture, there was he had a wager. God had a wager with another God to say.
How much of the Bible have you actually read?
All of it.
You've actually read all of it from cover to cover?
Yeah, I've read about 3. I've read the Catholic version and I've read the King James version. They're all both as ridiculous as each other.
Okay, so mention. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so you mentioned that thou shalt not have any gods before me. So you're saying that there are other gods, and that therefore this is somehow undermining. This is somehow God undermining His own.
That's God acknowledging that there's other gods.
Well, can we pin down which God
in the Old Testament there's 96 other
Can we
gods.
pin down the God that you're talking? Are we talking about Yahweh in the Old Testament specifically?
Like,
Is that
yeah.
what we're talking
Yeshua, or like there is different languages.
Sure,
Like,
different names for it,
obviously,
but Yahweh
like-
in the Old Testament was part of a pantheon, including Baal, who's mentioned directly in the Old Testament. In fact, his priests and Baal's priests, Yahweh's priests and Baal's priest at one point had a bit of a magic off to see who could do the greater miracles kind of thing.
Oh, I saw that Harry Potter film.
Well, that's it. And also,
But that's
God had the wager with Beelzebub.
That's heresy. That's
Another God.
heresy. Well, obviously that's heresy, and
Heresy?
even in the Quran, it mentions the beginning of Muhammad, where it talks about there is pagan gods. There's people who idol worship different pagan gods, and Muhammad, basically, the story is, I don't want to get too much into it, is that he went in and he basically he got people to stop worshiping all those different gods. That's the key of the Abrahamic God. Like Christianity, like they spread into Europe, they said, you know what, you can't be worshiping all this stuff. This is idol worship. And even in Jeremiah, it talks talks very brashly about people who idol worship, as they will perish, basically, and that you're supposed to be indifferent to him. He calls you to be indifferent to him when they experience tribulation. And so there is idol worship. There's different types of idol worship. Like people idol worship like wood, like people who make like crafts, like they craft up a Buddha or whatever, and then they worship it. That's an idol, right?
We know Jesus had a foot fetish.
I don't know what. I don't know what that means.
Like watching feet. Simple as that.
Just like it's just like
Jesus had idols.
I just feel like we're in two different arenas here. I just don't even know
we're just
what your criticism is exactly.
What you believe is real.
To get back to the point is that other gods were mentioned in the Old Testament, and when Elijah and the prophets of Baal had a test of faith, the prophets of Baal were also performing these miraculous acts. They just weren't as good as the prophet Elijah. So if you don't automatically or come in with the presupposition that there is only one God, whether or not they're real, there were other gods in the Bible, and supernatural events were attributed to those gods. That's our point. Because we don't think any gods are real. We don't think any of them are really real gods, including Yahweh.
Okay. So like I'm not saying that there is other gods, but that the Abrahamic God is a jealous God, and then if you go away, you will be punished.
Right.
Sure, but
It's like say, you got me. So that's what the Bible says. It's just like it's like a weird, like, oh, why does the Bible punish people who sin? Yeah, there's whole pages. It even talks about the church like going into tribulation. They won't be saved as well too. So there's a saying of like
change of subject. Like I don't know what sin means, and I don't know how
sin means missing the mark.
Well, I don't. It doesn't really matter to me, because the church has put out tons of things that they have said are sins, and today we go, well, that's really abhorrent. Like, for instance, the Catholic Church went into Africa saying that it was a sin to use condoms and stuff, and it contributed quite significantly to the rate of AIDS infection in Africa. Okay, you may say it's a sin. I want to say, well, who cares what they call a sin if what they're calling is a sin is actually good for people? It doesn't mean anything to me.
Right, that has nothing to do. That's scriptural.
Would you say he was a vain God?
Pardon?
Would you say he was vain?
That I was what?
Would you say God was vain?
Vain in what? Are you trying to attribute sin to God?
No, would you say God was vain?
Vain. Do you want
vain, as in, he had vanity?
Vague or vain?
Vain, as in proud of their own status, appearance.
He had vanity.
Overly
proud vanity. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, that's ridiculous.
So you're saying that the second commandment is ridiculous. Then thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images.
Yeah, yeah, you shouldn't get any graven images. I just don't know, like, what, like, you're trying to, like, I feel like, okay, I like let me like do some psychoanalysis here, is because I feel like you're trying to
I
attribute
don't
God
think
to a
you are
physical thing.
qualified to do
You're
any
trying,
psychoanalysis.
I'm basically reading you
no,
what
no,
you
you
believe
are,
in.
because it's
No, you're not
you are
qualified to do
rules.
any psychoanalysis whatsoever.
Shut up.
You're not
Shut
qualified
up.
for that. No,
Oh
I
yeah,
won't
no,
shut
I
up.
don't have
I'll
any
do
of your
whatever I
fucking
want.
peer review study, whatever. I didn't
No,
go to
and you
school.
don't, like,
Oh
just
yeah,
talking to somebody online. You cannot psychoanalyze somebody under those conditions.
I
You're
could
not.
psychoanalyze whoever I want. It's free speech.
Well, yeah, I don't think you're really
Basically telling
qualified.
me
You're
what
just,
you believe in.
yeah,
This
you're
is-
just giving
this
an
is your
opinion,
belief.
a baseless and, you know, really forgettable opinion that just doesn't mean anything because you have no qualifications, nor have you done the in-depth study of an individual to make any psychoanalytic prediction of their behavior whatsoever.
Let me. Well, because he's basically making a presupposition that you have
I'm
to
not
attribute
making a
God to an
presupposition.
image.
I am reading
Yes, you
you
are.
the commandments.
What
What's the
presupposition? I'm
third
not sure.
commandment?
Like,
What's the third
hang on,
There's a
just a second, dog.
presupposition.
Just a
There's
second, dog. Just a
presupposition
second, dog.
that
Dog,
you're
just a second.
attributing God
Now,
to a graven
dog, just
image.
a second. You're using a lot of these words like presupposition and things like ad hominem and things that I don't understand the context in which you're using them. Because an ad hominem
Well, I was
very
reading the
specific
Fall of
thing.
Babylon,
It means
and it's
something
just like,
that is a personal attack, which you haven't been able to clarify what was the personal attack. Now you're using presupposition, and I'm not trying to attack
I didn't say
I
that ad
just want to
hominem was a
know what the
presupposition. You didn't even listen.
presupposition is that he is
Okay.
laying down as a foundation before he even asks questions. So what is that presupposition?
So I feel like you're not really listening to what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Like you're not
I'm
actually listening.
talking.
Like you
I'm
have,
not going to listen to you while I'm talking.
you have like
Okay.
a pre-programmed response to people like me who
You're not even
who come
answering
from
what
a
I
different
asked.
who come from a different perspective, and then when I tell you an answer, you don't even, you just reject it, and then you go back to your circular logic.
Okay, so first off, I'm not going to listen to you while you interrupt me talking. That isn't what I'm here for. When I'm talking and you interrupt, I don't care what you're saying at that point because you're rudely interrupting me talking. Second of all, I asked you a question and I'm willing to listen, but then you've gone down this rabbit trail of, oh, but you don't listen to what I'm saying. When I give you the time to listen after I've asked a question, which you've quite rudely tried to interrupt, you can't then complain that I'm not listening to you. You're not interested in
both of
clarity.
you. Oh, are you done talking?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, both of you are like, I just like your comments are out of context, and it has sexual repression had nothing to do with the fall. That's the original, I guess, controversy, was the fall of Babylon had nothing to do with sexual repression. And I was making the point that this is the problem with a lot of people falling away. I guess the church you could also lump into this as well too, or I guess just apostates in general. Not that God is the final judge, so I mean I'm not going to hold that against you. But the thing is that.
Well,
I
believe me, this is not
the thing is,
guys, I have to interrupt just for a second because Titan, as much as we love, he's our admin. He's like our guiding light here, and
he is a guiding light. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with viewpoints because, as far as I can tell, I don't want to kick anyone for viewpoints. But I would ask John, can you just change your icon? Just something, because I'm being told that it is. If it's something that it is, that it would not be TOS. We only have one God in here, and it is the TOS gods.
The TOS God.
Oh, really? That's a. Oh, wow. Okay, I did not know that.
And
is that a historically World War II German symbol? Is that what we're saying?
No, that's actually a close representation of something called the Celtic cross, which was taken by a group of French neo-Nazis in the 1950s. But it's not the Celtic cross. It's close, but it's not the actual symbol.
It's a double-cross sun. It's a representation of the new dawn, a new era. That's
but it's
my
very close to
interpretation.
the Celtic cross. That's what the issue is.
Oh, okay.
I've got
So
no
basically,
I am not
I
sure.
don't know
this is
that.
why. This is why.
You've had different
Do
icons.
you guys
before.
have
So that
shows
it's
other than
also
YouTube? Because I just don't know if I could really.
YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Now,
Okay, because YouTube, because I'm just getting to a point now. Like I can't like I feel like I'm just having a stick up my butt, like trying to, please the YouTube gods. It's just getting ridiculous. Like it gets worse and worse and worse. It's just like it's choking you.
I mean,
they
don't make you pray 5 times a day to them. I mean, they just don't want you to.
I do. I don't know about you.
And,
and
as long as you're
I understand you want to keep your show, but it's just like it gets to a point. I'm just kind of like why would I feel like I have an interesting perspective on things, but that I just the stuff that's like it's it's just like like I'm walking on eggshells. I hate that feeling. I hate that.
No, I understand
it just changes the energy of the. I'm on it. Like I'm not
money
committing
off of it. So you've got to do what the terms of service dictate, because it could potentially result in the loss of your channel. And people have lost their channels for very, very small stuff before. So it's nothing against you or what you've got there. It's just it's more the fact that YouTube is a platform that can issue repercussions if you do violate their terms of service. That's all. It's got nothing to do with anything else. But
I got you.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm just ranting, but maybe if you guys have another show like on like a different platform, and I don't feel like I need to censor myself or anything like that. Like within reason. Like I do censor myself, but you know what I mean. Just like I don't want to walk on eggshells or anything like that. So
well, I think using that symbol, you would obviously get the. I don't know the symbol.
Yeah, I mean it's just like it's such a like an obscure symbol,
wherever you are.
And people there's so many different interpretations of it, and I understand that YouTube doesn't like it. So and I understand that, and I respect that you guys. You respect my freedom of expression.
Requesting a change of platform is a bit extreme, though. I think between you changing your picture and them setting up on another platform to allow you to use that one, there is an easier option of the two.
Yeah, but maybe I would if they had maybe they could still be on YouTube, but if you had another show, it'd be like, hey, if you have a more edgier opinion, or if you like to express yourself with different symbols, you can go on this platform.
Yeah, so
it's an idea.
If you want to dress your dog up as a pope and take a picture of him, I'll be happy. I wouldn't mind you posting that.
Okay.
But why don't you just use a camera like me?
Well, can I just ask? Is it just a mistaken identity thing? As in, it's just a different picture.
Oh, there you go.
It is a mistaken identity, because if you look at this, I'll send you a link in the chat there. Titan thinks it's the Celtic cross. The Celtic cross is the one that's used as the fascist symbol,
or
it doesn't.
Or some people said it's like the Knights of Templar. There's so many different variations of it. I've actually seen
no idea about that.
But my question is, what is your use of it then? What is it trying to convey?
It's a religious symbol. It's well, I was part of a political party called the Canadian Nationalist Party. We adopted that as our new party symbol.
That just screams white supremacist.
It does.
What, the Canadian Nationalist Party?
I'm sorry, that just screams white supremacist.
So, Nationalist Party?
Yeah, nationalism is one of the core tenets of fascism. It's a big thing.
Oh my
Don't you
Lord!
think
You guys are
nationalism
ridiculous.
is a core tenet of fascism?
I'm white. and I'm a nationalist. Is that what it is? I'm white and I'm a nationalist. So therefore, I'm a white male. I'm a white male that can't express these views. I have to, cow down to all the trannies and
absolutely not. There are
quit,
this is not
That's
a
a different
platform
subject.
where you
Yeah, I think
We don't
your
keep
use of
shaming.
language there is pretty terrible. To sort of
We're not a
use slurs
platform for
against people.
advocacy of like extremist ideology or things like that.
It's
what's
you know,
extremist? Nationalists?
no,
That's
just your use
extremist?
of slurs, just to people that may be encompassed by those slurs straight to their face. I find it kind of weird that you wouldn't realize that you're insulting people straight to their face. Don't you think that's weird that you'll just come on a show and insult somebody straight to their face?
What was the insult? That I'm not apologetic about my views.
No, the T word.
Well, I just find that
tranny?
kowtow to, there's two options. You're religious.
You're completely oblivious to what a slur is. You're completely oblivious to what a slur is, but you're taking offense that your bigotry isn't accepted by everybody. It's fascinating. Like you're like, oh, I'm put upon because I can't be a bigot. That's terrible.
I think you're actually oblivious.
What do you mean?
That you are.
What do you mean? It's just okay. So this goes back to like you're making an all-encompassing statements without like elaborating on it, and it's almost like it's slander. So it's just that's why I bantered back, and you're just like, oh, you're using slurs or whatever.
You are a bigot. How can we elaborate on you being a bigot? How more can we elaborate on that?
In Deuteronomy, it talks about those who lie with women and men with men are given over to a reprobate mind. I guess that makes me a bigot.
Yeah.
I guess that makes me a bigot.
Nobody cares what your favorite book says. It'd be the same as me pointing out in Lord of the Rings, it's as Gandalf says that a wizard arrives exactly when he needs to. Big deal. You can quote a book. It means nothing.
And we are
It
about
literally means nothing. You've just read out a passage from a book. Congratulations.
So?
But
I do not like green eggs and ham.
Amy,
I do not like them, Sam. I am absolutely. I read that holy passage too, James. It's
like
holy.
what? Okay, what's with like this hatred here? This is what I'm talking about. Is this like you guys don't listen? We can't have a conversation, and you guys make broad ad hominem attacks earlier. Maybe not now. Now it's just kind of just. Now we're just like insulting each other. But now it's just like
we're talking about your belief, and I'm
trying to get
you to explain why you believe it. You mentioned the 10 Commandments. I gave you the 10 Commandments. You don't even know.
Well, he changes subject every 2 seconds because he doesn't want to.
You change the subject every 2 seconds. That's what I say. Like it's like
no, you.
We're in 2 different like.
What response is that? You went from
we're talking like 2 different things.
Fourth commandment.
Like I was mentioning the fall of Babylon, you're like, oh, that's just such a sexual repression. It's just like that had nothing to do with like the sexual sin. It didn't mention a specific sin.
If you don't think that book is a book of sexual repression and hatred and war and horror, then you need to read that again properly.
Well, God says, "Be fruitful and multiply." What happened? What do you need to multiply? Sex.
And
yeah,
guys,
I wouldn't go that far as describe it exactly as that. But I would say there is things in there that are pretty bad. Like really bad. Yeah.
So I'm getting So let me get this straight. I'm getting persecuted right now from atheists.
Persecuted? How are you being persecuted?
Persecuted.
You're trying to cast a moral judgment on me. Where's your morals come from?
Is that persecution? Is anybody making
you're morally persecuted? Like you called me a bigot.
you're basically saying anyone that makes any moral judgment upon you is persecuting you. So if you go out and kill somebody,
Well, you're an
and the
atheist,
courts-
so
Hey,
what's your
let me
moral?
finish.
Let
Let
him
me
talk,
finish.
let
If
him
the
talk.
courts go out and judge you guilty, then the courts are persecuting you. That is your logic.
I'm just asking you, what morals do you have as an atheist? I'm not talking about courts.
Secular humanism.
So you're atheist.
Secular
So
humanist.
what's your
I don't get
humanism?
morals from atheism. I get morals from secular humanism. If you're going to speak to me, make sure you address the questions correctly.
Okay, so what's the commandments of secular humanism?
It doesn't have commandments, but it has a focus on the value of human life, the value of science in implementing policies and strategies in order to help humanity, value on consequentialism, and a value on utilitarianism.
Okay. And so that involves being tolerant of homosexuals.
Yes,
Well,
they're
it's just being
humans.
a fucking
Well,
nut.
Why would
like
they not be
it's like
humans?
it's like
Why
okay,
would
so
I-
like I'm not saying like homosexuals are not humans. I'm just saying it's just a sin. Like
Well, I
obviously,
don't know what your.
like
I don't
obviously,
place any value on what you call a sin. I don't place any value on it whatsoever. I don't know why I would place a value on it.
It's just an activity.
What utility does creating sinful behavior have for humanity? Nobody
created sinful behavior.
Well, what value does it have to do that? To say, hey,
for rebuking, for the proper terminology would be rebuking sinful behavior.
But what value does it have to create this whole sin thing to begin with?
It's so that people can recreate and they can have stable families and they can bring in community.
Homosexual people can
Why
do that.
can't two men do that?
Because two men can't reproduce. It's not something that's normal. It's abnormal.
It's called a ping pong.
Abnormal. It's not of the norm. It's abnormal.
It's two
abnormal, and it's my duty to rebuke it as such.
Wow.
You are free.
You don't
You're free to
understand
engage with whatever you like.
You don't understand why we call you a bigot.
But it's also a fallacy.
So what?
You're just a homophobe.
Being gay is normal and natural.
Wow.
And it's a fallacy. It's a naturalistic fallacy to say.
So what about gay penguins who two males can raise eggs? Is that abnormal? Nature just got it wrong for some reason?
Answer if you want, John, but then I want to get Goddess Midnight, and I want to get Midnight Sparkle in, and then I want to eventually wrap up.
I didn't want to steal the show. Sorry, I just delved into this, and it just
happened.
You sort of ruined the show, to be fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
You wanted to raise the issue. You're the source of the controversy, not me.
No, you are, John.
You are.
You are. You're the
controversy.
Like to call you out. I've called you out, and I've found you out.
I've asked you like what your morals are, and he's just like, well, I'll just would you? I could get more.
One thing, and
I could go down this
show you where your morals are, where your morals and where your scruples lie, and they lie. You are morally bankrupt.
Yes, you
but
are.
What?
Morally bankrupt.
Whatever.
Well,
okay,
have fun,
guys, we are
have fun in tribulation. Have fun in tribulation. We'll see. We'll see when the final judgment.
We don't think
we'll see in the final judgment.
But
we don't care.
We're gonna get
it doesn't. There's no reality.
Sparkle in.
Correct.
Wow, really? I don't like. I am oppressed that they don't allow making a moral judgment on me.
I'm sorry, mate. I didn't ask for that.
Wow.
So,
hello,
welcome, Midnight. We are
Midnight Ranting. Yes, you're stealing my name.
Well, how are you? What are your thoughts about the big topic itself?
What are my thoughts on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark? Well, I just think it's a story written, passed down through generations, and like all stories, somebody adds to it over time, and it becomes the story we have now. I believe I believe it was based on the story of Gilgamesh and the local flood. But then, somebody's like, "Oh, what would be cool if it was a global flood, and and it happened due to God's wrath, and this weird family got saved and everyone else died." Okay, that's cool. Like, you
In
know what I
truth,
mean?
it was when. In truth, it was actually when everyone found out the Earth chain wasn't flat, and she got moist from all the happiness.
Oh,
What,
I
the Earth
love
isn't
anime
flat?
references. But yeah, I just think it's a work of fiction at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Just a way to pass down knowledge, pass down stories. You know, I mean, I guess I suppose a story could be based on, like real life events, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Midnight.
very much, Midnight. And I agree. It could be based on some true events, but chances are that the vast majority of it's just mythology.
Peter.
It is a bit like flat Earth. It's just there's so much evidence against the flood. Like if you put it all together, it's just a mountain of it. From the sort of things that we expect to see with plate tectonics to river delta sort of silt accumulation to, I mean it's just there's so much against the flat Earth. It's hard to. You really have to have faith to follow it. I think that you really have to have that special kind of faith where you just block out everything and keep going. That's my
You
opinion.
debated TRock. What was your impression of him?
He kind of he I don't know. I think I mauled him a little bit. I kind of felt sorry for him. He's not stupid. He's a smart guy. He just, I don't know. He said a lot that was very questionable. That sounds like it's been reinforced over and over. Like he was saying that he thought that humans and chimps shared 2% DNA kind of thing, and it was just like, where did you get that from? Like,
I mean,
what?
to be fair, I did hear that as well. It's been
Theist circles kind of thing.
Well, no, it was from scientists themselves. It was from in like a science magazine.
No, I don't. I would be very, very doubtful.
Okay. Well, let's check what Jesus has to say. I mean, Google.
It would actually say the difference between humans and chimpanzees would be 2%.
Yeah, at the best, the highest would be 98%, depending how you evaluate it. And I think the latest study in 2021 had 95 to 98. Stupid Whore Energy mentioned it as a question on my debate with him, and
she's
of course,
isn't she?
Oh, she's fantastic, and she cited the paper and everything. Like,
Can I give you Carl Pilkinson's answer? The 3% difference is the arse.
And all right, with that, I think
fibbing about Rhodocetus during my debate because he said he fibbed and said it was fully aquatic, but she caught it and asked him the question.
Yeah, so he seems to be a smart guy who's sort of been reinforced with all of this really bad knowledge. And from my understanding, he's an engineer, so he's not uneducated or sort of ignorant of these kind of things. He just seems to have gotten a lot of really bad answers and truly adheres to them. But I mean, he wasn't a bad guy. It just,
Who are we talking about?
TRock. He's a new guy on Standing for Truth platform. Who, I think, you'd give him a bit of a mauling kind of thing because he doesn't have strong arguments. Well, of course, I'm debating him. Of course, I don't think he's got strong arguments. That's my opinion.
He's better than Taylor, I'll say that.
And all right, guys.
Yeah, that's hard to say, isn't it? Because Taylor's supposed to be a person doing their doctorate in biology, and some random engineer is stronger than her is a bit bit worrying. Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into outros, but I'm going to let Peter do an intro outro. So he's actually going to be the gentleman starting us off tonight. If there's a change of icon, it looks like to try and get everybody in for outros. But I want to thank our entire panel. I want to thank everyone for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
On our midnight
Wonderful.
ranting of the great Genesis flood and Noah's Ark. It was great to have back and forth, have some dialogue, and we're going to get Peter in. He's going to start us off as we start our midnight ranting. Woo-hoo! What is up, Peter? Hope you are
Peter.
having fun.
How's that for being omniscient?
Dun, dun, dun.
That's all, folks.
Long time no see, Peter.
Yeah, good to see you. Peter.
I'm busy. I'm so incredibly busy. Yeah, but I thought this dumpster fire was really missing some Dutch input, so I couldn't get past it. I had to jump on, and then someone left. But yeah,
I had to boot him. I'm sorry. It was.
And I had something.
Did you see? I
really had something that I wanted to read to him, which was 1 Samuel 18. And that reads as follows. After David had finished speaking with Saul, the souls of Jonathan and David were knit together, and Jonathan loved him as himself. And from that day on, Saul kept David with him and did not let him return to his father's house. And then we get to 2 Samuel 1:26. And there it says, I grieve for you, Jonathan, my brother. You were very dear to me. Your love for me was wonderful, more wonderful than that of women. So if you want to tell people that God doesn't endorse gay men, you might be reading it wrong.
Sounds so homoerotic. Holy shit.
You should have read from 2 Peter.
What's in 2 Peter?
I don't know. Your book. You tell me.
No. You're see, and this is where people get confused, because I do have short shows on Twitter every once in a while, which are called First Peter, because obviously I come first and then everyone else, which is what is happening right here with the outros. But
that really should be called Peter first then.
I did want to comment on the title of the show, because I think that's always important to do, and that was the Noachian flood. And so it's astonishing that when you go back to the time when it supposedly happened, and you take the two most advanced civilizations at the time, which were the Egyptians and the Chinese, they just pretended to not notice and just had a continuous history written down so we can check it. And the flood isn't even mentioned, nor is the fact that everyone in their country died horrifically because God drowned them all. So my message would be, instead of being Christian, get educated, because apparently God doesn't affect you when you're educated. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but we will get back to that. We will get back to that in a couple of hours when we're reading the Bible again, and right after that, we're going to read the Book of Mormon, because why not? And if you want to catch that, that's on Arn's channel, on Raw.
The Blasphemy Bible?
That's right.
Blasphemer's Bible and the Book of Mormon. Sorry, I keep pronouncing that wrong. Yeah. We've got 4 comedians reading the Book of Mormon.
Moron missionaries.
Yeah, we've got 4 comedians reading the Book of Mormon, doing it in voices as well. So we've got a New York accent, and we've got a Southern accent, and then obviously Arn will do his God voice for some of the verses. Yeah.
Anyone
If
speaking
someone,
in tongues?
I'm not going to try and encourage people, but if someone were to, I don't know, record all of them and then clip the parts where Arn is reading the Bible, at the end of the series, you'd have an amazing audiobook on Ra reading the Bible. In the voice of God, no less. I mean, who wouldn't want to have that?
Sounds like a great time
I
to
can
me.
do it in the voice of the Pope. Kiddy fiddly, piddly, 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 fally, fiddly,
Oh
kiddy
my
fiddly,
God.
fiddly, fiddly.
Damn it.
That's what the Pope does when he's shaking his balls.
Thank
Pope
you
scratches his
so
balls
very
just like
much,
we all do.
Peter and Dog, and sending love. And all right, go check out Aaron Ra because
Do
he
it.
is fantastic and wonderful. You should already be subscribed, but we'll forgive you this one time. Unlike the Bible, that apparently they
Oh, and I had one more thing.
okay, you can say one more thing.
Oh, I want to do one more thing.
Oh,
So,
baby.
Look. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, is that a Canadian flag?
Exactly. It's a maple leaf.
Dun,
You gonna be
dun,
Randolph's
dun.
slave?
Happy Canadian Day.
Because Randolph is in the audience, so
Woo!
see?
Wait, why is that brown and not red? Is that an older one?
I think it's just the lighting.
It's the filter on my camera which makes it a little bit. It is an official.
All right.
Hold. I don't know if I can fix that actually, but I can check whether or not I can. Let's go to filters. No. Let's see here.
Do a little bit this, and a little bit here, and then it's on fire.
It's
Still looks the same. At least to me. There we go. Now
yeah, that's better.
It's orange.
Orange.
See? I mean, it is an original Canadian. It's an original Canadian flag. One of the, I don't know, 6 I have. I have several.
Justin Trudeau approved.
See?
Oh no! And 10 atheists converted.
And by the way, this earring came from British Columbia. Just saying. This is an original Canadian earring.
I thought they all had to come from Saskatchewan.
I don't know. I know that the crosses you see, most of those come from Alberta, but I don't know about any of the other ones.
But thank you so very much, Peter, and
Thanks,
looking
Peter.
forward to seeing you on our Ra's show. And
Well, you won't be seeing me. That's the good part of Orange shows.
Producing it.
You don't see me, you don't hear. Well, so on the last Bible show, I did point out that how God invented Pornhub.
Oh my!
If anyone's interested,
So
because obviously we can deduce that from the Bible. Actually, from I think it was Genesis 2 or 3. I forgot. But so when Eve is
no.
When Eve is
69.
When Eve is talking to the serpent says, if you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will become like God, as in you will know the difference between good and evil. So Eve eats from the fruit, Adam eats from the fruit, They both look down, discover they're naked, and discover that that is wrong. So God knew that it was wrong for them to run around naked. But up until that time, God visits them in the garden, looking at them running around naked. Makes you think, doesn't it?
Then they fucked and had 2 children.
Thank you for that.
And God
Dog.
was
And
watching.
then one killed the other, and then Adam was banished and met hundreds of other people outside. With
No. That wasn't Adam. That wasn't Adam.
Banished.
Some of you might be asking how I got here. Well, it's a crazy adventure. It all starts long ago with a snake. And all right, Peter, thank you so much.
Thanks, Peter.
Lovely having you on.
Love you,
And
Peter,
all
mate.
right. Midnight Sparkle, what is up? We have been Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. Hope you had a good time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Well, I guess my final thoughts would be that we actually share 99% of DNA with bonobos and chimps. That was interesting. It's actually 96 when you account for deletions and insertions, but that's another story. As for where people find me, I do have a channel called Athena, Goddess of Wisdom and Warfare. I just never use it. It's just there for show. I don't even know why I shield it, because I never do anything with it.
Me either.
Yeah. As for the Genesis flood and Noah's Ark, like, it's an interesting story. I'll give it that, but I just see it as as a story. Like, is there something to learn from it? I mean, maybe. I guess the one thing to learn from it is that God is a dick, and he loves.
What
he
you
loves
can learn
killing
from it is
people.
that God is immoral.
Well, that too.
I think that's the best part you can learn
Yeah.
from it. If you do something, I will punish him and him and him and her and her and him and her and all the animals. Puppies, kittens. I'm going to drown them all.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for having me on, even though it was for 10 minutes.
But it was a glorious 10 minutes.
It was a quickie,
Oh, you
but
know
it was good.
baby. Yes, you know it.
Woo! Thank you so very much, Midnight.
Thanks,
Send in
Midnight.
love and sparkles.
you had to add the sparkles, didn't you?
Absolutely. And all right, we are heading to Mark. Mark, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. Hope you had a fun time. What you got going on? And of course, what are your final thoughts?
Thanks for helping us there with our
no problem.
there.
Look, I would have been happy to talk to him regardless of what I personally thought of his political, stance kind of thing. It's fine, but you can't. So what really worries me is you've got some of the most judgmental people on the face of the planet. And not all Christians judgmental. I'm not saying, hey, Christians are judgmental, but there is a definite block of them that will judge people. And I mean, he even said that we have to rebuke just gay people and castigate them and, do all these horrible things. But you've got some of the most judgmental people that are persecuting others for simply how they live their lives. And they're saying, oh, I'm being persecuted because I'm not allowed to do that without being judged. I mean, are you serious? Are you serious that whatever I do is right for me, and if someone judges me for that, then they're persecuting me? It's sort of, listen, mate, John, get off your high horse and realize that your actions, they have consequences within society, and that your objective, or what you claim to be objective morality, isn't the only morality out there. And we're perfectly capable of making moral systems without your God or your book. And it's interesting because he sort of said, oh no, you change subject. He did change subjects all the time. When he was asked about how he was ad hominem, he changed it to something else. Then he went on to, Fall of Babylon, to the Ten Commandments, to my moral system, which has nothing to do with the conversation whatsoever. Just chopping and changing.
Absolutely.
Didn't answer a single question. Didn't address anything I had to say. Just wanted, and then his out and out bigotry that he thinks he should be excused for, because if we say, hey, we don't accept that, we find that immoral, that's persecution in some way. And the reason why I asked what benefit, what utility do we get for treating homosexual people like this, I can point to the nurturing of homosexual people. Like, for instance, Turing is a great example, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with Alan Turing. He's the father of modern computers. During World War II, he saved an estimated, couple of million lives with the work that he did.
He decoded the Enigma machine.
Right. He decoded Enigma, allowing us to bring the war to a close. He was a genius that his work still echoes into the work we do on computers today. And had he lived, he actually died from suicide after being chemically castrated for being gay. That was his only crime. And had he not, if that had not happened to him, the world would be a much better place. We would be more technologically advanced because he was a great contributor to humanity. So when we ask, well, what utility does this have to, harming people? And he brought up families. Well, gay people can have families. They can use, donors of eggs, and we can do these things. We can use surrogates. They can adopt. All of these things we can do, and it's not like the human race is about to die out if there's 10% of the population, or 20, or even 25% of the population is gay. It's not going to happen. So all that your thing is based upon is fear and bigotry, and that's all. Like, that's all it is. I'm really sorry, but that you don't have a good reason for.
I'm going to go a step further than you, Mark. 9 out of 10 people like that are closeted gays.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't make that judgment. I wouldn't presume to try and, as he was doing, psychoanalyzing somebody I've just met. I think that's, you can't do that. I wouldn't.
We just saw what came out about Jesse Lee Peterson, and I laughed all the way through the documentary.
What came out about Jesse Lee Peterson? I don't.
Jesse Lee Peterson is gay.
What? Really? Oh, yes. Wow.
Oh, well, amazing.
Amazing, right?
Hello?
Amazing.
Go figure.
And you know which kind of men he likes? The beta.
So he likes.
Just saying.
I mean, that's up to him. I'm not gonna
It's just
pretty horrible. Sort of spoken out about it all these years, but
See, but now I just want to see Jesse Lee Peterson in Apron, like making pies as a husband.
Well, hold on.
That's a real man, a man who can wear an apron and make a pie for his partner. That's a real man.
My turn, me gay.
I have done that, and all I was wearing was an apron.
Oh,
really?
Just saying.
No one needs that image, Peter.
It's getting to that kind of late night stream, is it?
I'm just saying, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not going to do that in someone else's house, which actually was my argument against the guy that Mark was talking to, because he was upset that he wasn't allowed his particular avatar, and said, well, I can make good arguments doesn't mean that I need to change my avatar. Yeah, I can come into your house with my dick hanging out and have great arguments. I'm probably not allowed in.
Well, I mean, it's
just
the
saying.
problem that you're expecting.
Well, Amy's house,
stream, and
you wouldn't be allowed in my house with your dick hanging out, mate. Either.
Yeah, but the whole point is you come into the stream and expect them to create another stream for you, or
on another platform.
Go
on another platform.
And you could just change your picture and it takes 2 seconds. I don't. Or put your camera on, as he did, and in his defense, yes, he did put his camera on. Therefore,
you got to go look at his forehead.
Well, sure.
He was a 4-step baby as well.
What I was trying to point out, is you come into someone else's room. This is a stream hosted by Amy and James. You come into their room. If they ask you to remove something, you need to give those people the courtesy of asking you to do that and then change it. No questions asked.
I would.
I mean, you do that within your own house, and I see a room like this is an extension of your own house. The people who are running the room determine what the rules are. If the rules are you need to change your picture, you need to change your picture. If you don't want to do that, get off the internet. It's that easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just think the demands being made by sort of a guest to the stream are a bit much. I certainly wouldn't demand that somebody else go to the length of creating another channel or being on another platform so I could use my preferred avatar on that platform. But yeah, you make a valid point. I wouldn't go so far as to say that all homophobes are secretly gay. I think that is a trope for a reason.
No. That's not what I meant. So those who are extremely vocal about it, 9 out of 10 times are. And that is just based on what you see happening on the internet. You see the Christian preachers and ministers who are vehemently anti-gay, and you see them being exposed. I mean,
well, who's that old man? Haggard, Ted Haggard, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Ted Haggard. Ted Haggard is
heterosexual.
Yeah, that's a really good example.
So is Milo Yiannopoulos. He's heterosexual too, right?
Exactly.
But anyway, yeah, I just want to sort of defend my because I mean it did get a little fiery, but I think that with the stuff that John was saying, you can't. I think that if you go on to a channel that has, I guess, normal average people on it, and you start to spout that kind of hateful bigotry, you're going to get pushback. I don't know why he was surprised or why he felt persecuted. And it wasn't like anyone was calling him names or swearing at him or doing that. We just strongly disagreed with his position for a number of reasons. But his thing was no you. And it's strange that the most hurtful, bigoted, most, sort of people that are persecuting women and gays and the trans community and all of this stuff, they feel persecuted when they can't do it, and that's just sad. It's terrible. So I think I'll leave it there. The Ark is just, I mean, that's just a ridiculous story. When I debated Ken Hovind about it, it was basically, I mean, to look at the size of the boat, which is sort of Titanic size, and claim that 11 people could run it, maintain it, take care of all the animals, do all of the chores necessary, cook, clean, just everything that they needed to do is it's just so laughable.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, as well as the problems we've all heard about the eagles that eat hay and things like that, just ridiculous stuff coming through. And every time you have to appeal to apologetics to make something work, because the problem is as soon as you claim something else doesn't work. Like you claim that all the animals were on there. What did all the carnivores eat? Oh, well, there was a tiger that survived in a zoo that ate egg kind of thing. Well, where did the eggs come from? Oh, well, they had more chickens than that. Who took care of the chickens? Who collected the... Like, you just get problem after problem after problem coming down. And the idea that these animals are vegetarian then changed to carnivores after the flood, that has more problems. And you're seeing this over a wide range of things, like the problem of stratification, the problems of how did animals get from Mount Ararat back to their respective... The problems just multiply, and they come up with more and more excuses, and it just shows that their narrative has some deep flaws in it, because when you know an answer has deep flaws, that when you plug one hole, 10 others open. And I think that really rings true to me, that a solution
There's
to...
a joke in there somewhere.
Well, there's an explanation of a problem should marry up all of the problems and solve them.
Create more.
It shouldn't create more, and that's what we find with the Ark. It's just a laughable story. And yeah, I'm prepared to believe it was a local flood. Sure, why not? There were local floods around, sure, but like everybody else said, I find it legend building, not historical documents. But thank you so much, everybody. It's good to be here, and great to see you, Amy, and great to see you, James.
Great to see you, Mark. And all right, thank you for being here and sending love. And you should see Mark on all of the great channels you've done Standing for Truth, I think, on Modern Day Debate, on just
you just debated TRock
on Debate Me Brah, and TRock is just such an interesting, giving me Maddox vibes. I think James said the same thing.
He was trying to channel Maddox. Yeah.
I think he's less obnoxious than Maddox. I mean, he tried at the start to talk over me, and I don't usually kind of let that happen, or at least I don't allow him to continue to talk. So I think he kind of tried it on, but I don't think he's that bad. He wasn't as bad as Maddox.
Not as bad.
Yeah, I think he's sort of like Maddox, but Maddox he's outright just contemptuous of people and really, just sort of says, oh, well, you're just stupid for thinking that. I don't think he's that bad. I really don't.
And TRock believes in what's the most popular conspiracy.
Well,
I don't know. I'm that well.
And I will say, thank you so very much, Mark and Dog. Speaking of you, we have been Midnight Ranting, Dog, on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. I hope you have had a fun time. What you got going on, and what are your final thoughts?
Thank you, and I apologise for calling out John. I know Mark dived on him, but I saw him as a homophobic bloody neo-Nazi the second he came on.
And if I could just address that for a second, some of the views we almost know are going to be egregious going into a lot of what we do, because it almost comes with the territory. We're not talking with almost always the scientific, empathetic, open-minded theists.
Oh, absolutely.
You're
famous. You're famous.
Conspiracy theorists. They are.
And so we have to figure out where that limit is. I would say that Titan tries to, like I said, he guides us as our head mod, as our kind of admin. I'll say this the same that I say to Claire, because it kills me. James knows, is that I don't hate Claire. I don't hate John. I'm sure he views that kicking and whatever as like, oh, the LGBTQ agenda struck again. I know how I triggered the libs. This is what they thought or what they expected. But it's just like we want to communicate. Exactly. I think we'll have an intro outro, our special guest at the end. It's just that we want to get to have breakthroughs and like get through to those people and have good dialogues. It's just I like to think that maybe he didn't know how inflammatory his icon was.
Yeah,
but
I doubt it.
There's also, but then there's the other side, is that
It's
some
come up
people,
before.
well, and some people are looking to get banned. And so
it was a shame. It was a shame he died. He died on the defensive and thought he was being attacked.
Well,
Amy, if I can jump in real quick, because you usually look at the chat really well, but I think you missed someone in the chat who was challenging James, saying that why doesn't James understand that evolution is completely fictional? And to which I would this guy.
So I would like to know, how is Oz's reasoning as a grown adult any different than being a snot-nosed pothead teenager who's just simply being argumentative?
Hi, Oz.
Hey, Oz.
Well, he is back. I still want to let it, so I will. We're gonna let Oz will be our headliner, but I want, but Dog, I do because I interrupted you, so I still want Dog to let his finishing statement. We'll get Beamsy, and then Oz is
I'm done. I'll just say I love you, Amy. I love you, James.
I love you so much, Dog.
I know I don't get to see you as much as I love, but I enjoy. So I'll always support you. Always.
Well, thank you so very much. And honestly, you were a mensch on, and it was lovely having your points. Like I said, sometimes it gets a little spicy, so it's nice having. Ricky Gervais always says, it doesn't matter about gods, you have dogs. That's all that matters.
And
I
said Peter loves Ken Hovind. I saw that. Peter loves Ken Hovind. I did that's news to me.
Yes, they are secret lovers. You just which is sad because that means he's cheating on Matt Powell. Yeah, exactly.
James,
I love Ken Hovind. Where did that come from?
James and Kent up the tree.
Someone was saying that.
So I would like to know, how is Oz's reasoning as a grown adult any different than being a snot-nosed pothead teenager who's just simply being argumentative?
Yeah.
That takes so much. Look, Darth, you need to understand.
Newman, focus.
I'm trying, Darth. But Beepsy, we have been Midnight Ranting. Oh my God, 15 feet on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. I hope you had a fun time. What do you got going on, and what are your final thoughts?
That person in chat needs to be gone.
Well, our mods are faster than me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you know, Oz is being sarcastic. Oz is Oz.
Is he?
Yes, I couldn't help it after the comments that Peter was making that this had to be coming up.
It's too much tang in it.
Well, I mean,
stick to your music, Oz. Stick to making your music, mate.
I mean, Mark also mentioned Maddox, and so
the ultimate individual, Peter.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. Beebsy, any final words? It was a great flood in Ark, they would even say.
As I said, it's all wrong, everything that you know about it. It's just the fact that Earth-Chan got so excited when everyone found out that she was really all round that she just got a little bit too moist for us and we just couldn't handle it.
Oh my. And
yeah, that's
delete your browser history. Unhoven, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much. And all right.
Newman, listen to me. You're a grown adult.
Grown adult. I
yet to see evidence of that.
Listen. And thank you so very much, BMZ. And all right, our last of the night. We're heading it to our headliner. Oz. Oh my. What's up?
What's up, everybody?
I would like to know how is Oz's reasoning as a grown adult any different than being a snot-nosed pothead teenager who's just simply being argumentative?
I love that logic. Can we go full screen where I can see everybody's faces?
Yes.
I prefer that when I get ready to roast.
If I can
chop it up and roast.
So,
oh, that's probably me. Uno momento. All right, that should be fixed now.
There we go.
I just want to say that James single-handedly demonstrated that the flood is true. Why? because he was drowned in the evidence. He was drowned in the evidence for such claims, and I'm 100% talking shit right now.
So much evidence. So much.
So much evidence we were drowning in.
He was drowning.
Listen, you're a buffoon.
I forgot about all the shit Darth talks about me. A very friendly reminder. But no, I just wanted to pop in and say what's up to everybody. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all.
And I want to send
and
love.
Oz, can I point out that you cannot come here and criticize James when you just held an atheist event, and one of your speakers was Kent Hovind.
Right.
I saw that because Seth Andrews posted it.
Right, but we did roast him.
All hail Kent.
Okay. Okay.
And I just want to send
Everyone
love.
loves when Kent's rolled out. Let's face it, he's great for atheists.
Exactly. He basically is a walking billboard for atheists.
Yeah,
But Oz, you just got done better. Hashtag better.
Did you know, Amy, a dog cannot give birth to a chicken? Kent Hovind told me that.
Logic, yeah.
And you know what I learned? You know what I learned, Amy? Oz is better on a pool table.
Oh my.
Oh, yes, I am.
And if anyone is close to Oz, they shouldn't try gymnastics close to Oz because that's a fail.
Nope, that's an automatic fail. And if you're in
yoga,
did his knee survive, Oz?
Let's just say this: if I've been heavily drinking that night and you're playing pool, there is no good reason to believe that I will not jump up on the pool table and do a Buddha, like cross leg Indian, like what do they call it? What do my kids call it? Crisscross applesauce, like right on the middle of your fucking pool table, and I don't give a fuck.
Lotus, full Lotus, half Lotus. Is that what you're talking about?
Crisscross applesauce. That's Roger off American Dad, isn't it?
That's what my kids call it when they sit. Yeah, they sit. Yeah, Indian style, whatever the fuck it's called. It and secularity and I can't remember who I was playing pool. They were in the middle of like a highly contested pool game, right? Whatever. I don't play pool, and they're playing, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna have fun." And I jumped up on the pool table as they're playing, and I sit Buddha style. And Biddy Buddha is like, "Oh, this is amazing. You look like Buddha himself." And then I started like banging on my belly. And then
I was just happy that I did see the crisscross, and luckily YouTube isn't transferring the smell of the applesauce because I don't know what that supposedly was. I'm not sure.
No, Peter, they told me you already smelled the applesauce, so quit lying.
And okay, Wildheart, I'm adding you in here.
Yes,
you're.
Wildheart,
go ahead.
Wildheart, how did you style your hair? Did you put your fingers in the socket again?
Well,
yes.
I had some bad hair days. That never happened to me, Wildheart.
Sorry. What's the topic? I've not been watching. I'm just joined.
We're actually we're wrapping up on the Genesis flood and Noah's Ark. As much as I heart you all.
I love it how it always ends up with Amy wrapping up, and then everyone wants to come in and continue the conversation, and the stream is an hour longer than she wanted it to be.
That's where there's going to be an extra show.
I presume that the conversation will continue on Discord.
Yes, it will.
Get in.
But and also Oz, I don't want to. Is there anything you wanted to shout out before we wrap up because I'll hand it over to James in a second. Is there anything else you have that you want to shill? Because I want to shill it.
Looked like Better was epic. Looked like a great.
Yes,
great
better.
event.
Better went way better than expected for a first like the first time ever putting a conference like that together. It was one of those things. It was like all the anxiety, all the stress up to the event, and then as soon as it kicked off, it that was actually my release point, because it was like, you know, at this point, this is actually where I thrive and survive. Is it doesn't fucking matter anymore. The shit started, it's kicked off, and whatever fucking happens, and there's no way to stop it at this point, right? And that's where I just lived right there. You know, it's like what happens. But I could not be more proud of the event and those that helped and the speakers. I've been saying it, and I'll continue to say that, like, there's not going to be too many other events that you're going to be able to stack up that lineup.
No.
You know, and that was a powerhouse lineup, and it was not just all on me. We had multiple people helping to orchestrate that and put it together, and it was fucking awesome. And the number one, I've had people ask me, you know, what was your favorite part of the event? And this is easy for me. It's so fucking easy. Is we strategically planned to have multiple breaks, like 15-minute breaks every like hour and a half, 2 hours, to where people could just fucking chill and talk and hang out and get to know people, build relationships, build friendships. And that is still my favorite part. Is there's so many people that got to meet people that they never got to talk to, never got to hang out with, like the in-person element, right?
Are you gonna have another one eventually?
Absolutely. Yep. Next year, first week of June, 2023. Better 20.
I'll be there with bells on, hopefully. Where's it gonna be?
Yeah, you'll be there with bells on.
It's a little
It's
far
gonna be
for
in
me.
Indiana also.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay.
That's,
I'll start saving up in my piggy bank.
Yeah, it's in the let's just say in good old Indiana. Well, Fort Wayne is the city of churches, and I won't go. I don't want to waste a bunch of time here on Amy's channel, because we could talk about this a different time. But here in the city of churches, we actually experienced a ton of opposition as soon as we shared that we are an atheist convention or an atheist conference. Really? And we got tons of fucking opposition and made what should have been all of the little hurdles in the planning. They were actually the biggest thorns in our side. Was just the little things. What should have been little things ended up being the most complicated things, because like the one really quick, the manager at the hotel where we were trying to block out rooms was right across the street from the venue that we were at, the Coliseum here in Fort Wayne. And it was like I met with this woman probably 8 times, and every time she was like, "Oh, I don't. How can I help you, sir?" She continued to act like she didn't know me, like we weren't already doing business and negotiating together, right? And then one of the second to last times I went in there, she was like, "Oh, how can I help you, sir?" And I just kind of looked at her sideways, like, well, "You act like you don't, like we haven't been talking already, right?" Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Oh, I remember you. You're part of that anti-Christian group." And I was like, and it took everything inside of me, because it was that strategic pause where it's like, okay, how do I want to represent myself, the channel, and the community as a whole when they come to Fort Wayne? And my brain said, Oz, just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. So I shut the fuck up. I did it. Then almost immediately after that, she says, "But you probably don't refer to yourself as that, do you?"
Yeah, you think.
You could have said Hail Satan.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the right thing here, because I know she wants a rise. I know she wants me to snap back, right? And I was like, you know what? And I got a smile on my face. I was like, you know what? No, actually, I don't. And most of the people that are coming to this event, I don't think would identify as anti-Christianity. We are, first and foremost, we're just atheists. We don't believe in a God, or we don't believe in a deity, and that's it. Other than that, we're great people. We're fun to hang out with, and you're more than welcome to come to the bar and hang out with us and have a couple drinks and see how fucking cool we are.
Mm-hmm.
And she
hated, and I would have handled that completely different. If the moment she said you're the anti-Christian, I would have said, no, we're not anti-Christian, we're pro-truth.
Well, and I understand. I would understand that, but the fact
I hope you see the link with what's going on in the U.S.
The only reason I tackle
old hippies and no women want to drink with us anyway, whatever we believe in.
Well, as I say, I'll say this and shut up. The only reason not the only reason, the biggest reason was I wanted to represent the community well, and I wanted to make sure that those that were coming in to Fort Wayne, that I wasn't giving a bad representation, of atheism, and to that, like normalizing atheism. It should be normal to not believe, right? Because as soon as she said that, over her shoulder, when she leaned down, she had this little picture. It wasn't like by any stretch of the imagination, like big or huge or anything, but over when she leaned over after she said that to type on her computer, she had this like little picture thing, and it said, "Work hard, pray harder, believe that it happens." And as soon as she said those things and I saw that sign, I was like, okay, this isn't about me as an atheist. This is you think that we're out to get you as a Christian. You've personalized this. You've taken this as a personal knock or a personal hit. You know what I mean? So that's why I chose just to keep my mouth shut and say, no, we're just atheists. We're cool people. We just don't believe in God, but I'll buy your drinks. You want to come hang out with us at the bar? I'll buy your drinks.
Kill him with kindness. Woo-hoo. Thank you so very much, Oz. And you guys should all check out all the better events were filmed. You should be checking out all that non-believer awesome content out there. And like I said, just like Midnight said, I want to be there in person. I got absorbed by the Borg the past 2 months, and I'm finally getting out. Oh my lordy. So we'll be doing more events, more streams, more lots of fun. Thank you so very much, Oz. Thank you, the entire panel. We are handing it just off to James to fly us home. James, we have been Midnight Ranting on the Great Genesis, Flood, and Ark. And actually, I say that I'm going to interrupt my own thing because we got a super sticker for $5, and we do have to send so much love out there to Dog, who basically is just sending us a mic drop. Boom, ladies.
£5, actually.
It's about $8.
Right. And that was given right around when Oz was given his talking about better. So I like to think that that's what that was about. And so I want to send so much love to Dog. I want to thank so much love to our entire skeptic and ranting community. And I am giving the final passage right back over to James. James, you have been the inspiration for today. It was your debate that brought us here. That's right. The Great Genesis, Flood, and Noah's Ark. Doesn't sound like he convinced you.
No, but it was a lot of fun. It was a fun debate, and it was a fun show tonight. So thanks, guys, for coming on, making it an epic show. Thanks to all the mods in chat. I see that they are making you guys work tonight.
Very busy.
Just keep on hiding them spam bots. And yeah, thanks, guys. We will confer. We will
and also not just hide them, but report them as well, because YouTube is now finally going to address this, and so
we'll start removing their accounts.
Yes.
Yeah. You need to report them.
Thanks, Ian.
And give me a single jazz hand.
We can give you multiple jazz hands.
Oh my, thank you. I hope you all had
These hands are full.
Great time. Oh my, great time on this episode of Midnight Ranting, the Great Genesis Flood, and Noah's Ark. That's right, Noah's Ark is free with every meal. Where tonight we threw an after party of the debate of TRock versus James W., our very own, on the Great Genesis Flood and Noah's Ark. Fact or fiction? I think
Fiction.
we can say spoiler at this point. Yes, fiction. But thank you, Standing for Truth, for moderating. It was a fun debate, and we had a good time, worth drowning over. I do want to
one-handed
thank
clapping.
my co-host James W., along with our guests,
Here he goes.
Beamsy, Wolf, John, Centurion, Dog, Mark, Peter, Oz, and Wildheart. Woo! As well as all the lovely people in chat.
Wait, did you forget me?
And Midnight Sparkle!
Denied.
Wow, okay. You know, it's fine. It's fine.
Listen, I am copy and pasting at all times, and what I meant to say is the most loved Midnight Sparkle.
Luke is so smart.
As well as all of the people in chat are mods who make this stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible.
Lil PP.
Everybody, if you enjoyed the show, please don't forget. No ding for Little PP. Please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, because then you gain access to the bell icon, which when set to all will send you reminders to see our premieres, like our Ask Me Anything that just premiered.
Ian.
I'm going to hear pigs.
Five more Aussie dollars.
Why is
for
there
me
so many
at the end there.
pings? Like,
that's Peter's.
Woo! So much love to Ian Davenport. Another mic drop. Boom.
Don't break us, Peter. Don't break us.
Right.
What's with all the dings?
It's how he's powered.
Oh my god!
It's a sign from God. It's a sign from God. He dings us occasionally.
Oh, the dings are killing me.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
He used to fight against the pigs, but now we've given in. The pigs have subsumed us. Or hey, why not leave a comment once the video's done? Over to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below. Lastly, if you would like help me make even more content, please send us by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com.
hey, Peter, would you mind stopping with the ding? Jesus.
Yeah. He's having good.
Amy Newman.
Amy Newman just figured out angel wings.
On the next
We're not responsible for hearing loss.
Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone.